protection. Remove your personal data from 10 popular people's report sites. If everything about your personal information is that it should stay private. Online privacy protection. Free from Discover.
Well, what's going on, everybody? John out here with you. A little bit of pregame before we get started with the United States and Canada and the World Junior Championship semifinal. It's going to be semifinal numero dos here today. So to lead into this, let's just go through the tournament tree, and I'll give you some starting lineups and all that. Cooper Hopkins may or may not be joining me. I know he's going to have to deal with a little bit of a streaming thing because he can't get NHL Network, but we'll figure that out if we get to it. So to open the tournament, 2022 was December 26. United States got a 5-2 win over Latvia, and Czechia won 5-2 over Canada. We did that story in the broadcast in that opener. That was a big one. That started. A couple of off days. Then to come back, it was Slovakia beating the United States 6-3, and Canada beating Germany 11-2. Same thing again. United States the very next day on December 29th. I ended up doing that game. It was 5-1 United States over the Swiss as they took them out. Canada won 11-0 over Austria. So Canada had their one loss, and the United States had already gone through their one loss. On December 31st, the New Year's Eve, that was the last one of the preliminaries. It was United States 6, Finland 2, Canada 5, Sweden 1. So Czechia ended up winning the group in Group A. United States ended up winning the group in Group B. Then we start from January 2nd. That's where you start the relegation rounds and go to the medal round. So Latvia and Austria will be in the relegation round. Latvia won that series 2-0 out of the best of 3. So they will not be relegated. Austria will not be back at the World Juniors next year. Quarterfinals started. Sweden beat Finland 3-2. That was the coin flip game that I talked about. Czechia was all over Switzerland, took them out 9-1. United States, because they won their group, they got an easier matchup against Germany. They won that game 11-1. And that Canada-Slovakia game, and the Slovakia was the team that took out the United States. Canada had to survive Slovakia in overtime courtesy of a Connor Bedard spectacular effort where he beat 3 players and scored off the backhand to win in overtime. That kept Canada going. And then we go to today. It was a tremendous game between Czechia and Sweden. Czechia scored within the final minute, within 30 seconds left, and then they scored just before the overtime ended to upset Sweden 2-1, win that game in overtime. And now we are minutes away from Canada and USA and the 6:30 Eastern puck drop. So what awaits these two teams? If Canada wins, they'll take on Czechia for the gold medal at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. If the United States wins, they'll take on Czechia for the gold medal at 6:30 Eastern tomorrow. Whoever loses this game will be playing in the bronze medal game at 2:30 Eastern. So if Canada loses, they'll play Sweden. If the United States lose, they'll play Sweden. And whoever wins plays Czechia at 6:30. So that is a little bit of the preamble as far as what's going to happen. I'm going to have the gold medal game for you tomorrow. So that's going to be all set on that side. Let me just double check.
I'm looking actually at Boucher. I love Boucher's going. He's got some good grit, but the thing is, you got to make sure you're staying disciplined. Yeah. The other team's operating 50% of the power play.
So here's the deal. We're going over a little bit of the preamble. I'm going to give you some of the starting lineups here from the starters and notables from the notes and things that we got prepared. So for the United States, it's going to be left to right as far as the forwards, left, center, right. Cutter Gauthier, Logan Cooley, Jimmy Snuggerud, Rutger McGroarty, Chaz Lucius, Jackson Blake, Dylan Duke, Red Savage, Tyler Boucher, Kenny Connors, Charlie Stramel, Gavin Brindley. Defense going to sound like this. Jack Pert with Luke Hughes, Lane Hudson with Ryan Chesley, Sean Behrens with Ryan Ufko. Trey Augustine will probably be in net for the United States. And for Canada, we're going to do it the same way, left to right, and then go defense. It's Brennan Othmann, Shane Wright, Dylan Guenther, Joshua Waugh, Logan Stankoven, Connor Bedard, Zach Dean, Nathan Gaucher, Adam Fantilli, Colton Dach, Caedan Bankier, Zack Ostapchuk. Defense will be Ethan Del Mastro, Olen Zellweger, Tyson Hinds, Brandt Clarke, Kevin Korchinski, and Nolan Allan. Thomas Milic will probably be in goal for Canada. So that is your starting lineup setup. We're going to do this one more time for the recorder's sake. So for the United States, it'll be Cutter Gauthier, Logan Cooley, Jimmy Snuggerud, Rutger McGroarty, Chaz Lucius, Jackson Blake, Dylan Duke, Reid Schaefer, Teller Boucher, Kenny Connors, Charlie Stramel, Gavin Brindley. Defense will be Jack Pert, Luke Hughes, Lane Hudson, Ryan Chesley, Sean Behrens, Ryan Ufko, Trey Augustine will get the start in net. And for Canada, it sounds like this: left to right, Brennan Othmann, Shane Wright, Dylan Guenther, Joshua Waugh, Logan Stankoven, Connor Bedard, Zach Dean, Nathan Gaucher, Adam Fantilli, Colton Dach, Caedan Bankier, Zack Ostapchuk, and defense will be Ethan Del Mastro, Olen Zellweger, Tyson Hinds, Brandt Clarke, Kevin Korchinski, Nolan Allan, and Thomas Milic will probably start. Your head coaches are Ram Pecknold for the United States out of Quinnipiac and Dennis Williams for Canada. So when we get set underway and for puck drop, or if Cooper Hopkins comes in here, we will get started. And I will talk to you in a minute. I am very nervous for this game, admittedly, and it's one of those situations where I admit the nerves, even though I'm a 35-year-old broadcaster. We covered the Stanley Cup Finals with Cooper Hopkins and some of the other stuff on the channel. And I know when the Cup was in the building between Colorado and Tampa Bay the first day, it was a little bit of nerves. But for this game, I'll say this specifically, and this is just me off the cuff, not as the broadcaster side. Broadcasting from Detroit, Michigan here today, I look and I see the United States about 5 months ago when they lost to Czechia in that summer tournament because of the COVID pause. And I'm thinking, man, Czechia knocks them out, the bronze. You kind of wonder how that ends up going, what they're going to do in the tournament. And on the other side, you look at Canada now. And yeah, they've had some struggles in the first round. They lost to Czechia in the very preliminaries, but you can lose in the preliminaries and then bounce back and build up. And then you had that game against Slovakia with the Connor Bedard goal that I'm seeing now, and you kind of see how good this 16-year-old is. I understand that. But for the United States, this is the hardest road that they're going to have, going between Canada and now with Czechia winning. But I think for me, off the cuff, it's one of those situations where this is exactly what I want as a United States fan. I want to be able to have a chance to play Canada and then go in, if they can beat Canada, if, I'm not saying it's going to happen, have a chance to play Czechia, the team that knocked you out 5 months ago during August. This is exactly what you want if you're the United States. I know you don't have Matty Beniers on the roster. There might be a couple other pieces that are not there, but this is the time for the Stars and Stripes to be able to take hold and have a big-time game, be able to take out Canada and play the team that knocked you out 6 months ago. That's just one of those feelings that I have off the cuff, not as a broadcaster. I know it's going to be very difficult for the United States to do this. Canada is definitely the advantage, where they have the advantage on offense. But I will say this. Both goalies on both teams, the United States and Canada, whether it be Augustine, whether it be Milic on the other side, they've not been tested very much. So that is something that's up in the air. Full bore, advantage of offense goes to Canada. But defensively, the United States with Luke Hughes and some of these other pieces, they can match up with Canada. They're probably the fastest team in the tournament. It's going to come down to the United States trying to make sure they can keep the Canadian forwards in front of them and figure it out. That's going to be the big key for me. Maybe Canada wins by 2 goals, but I don't see it being more than that. I think this is going to be a close game, but the United States, they're going to have their toughest test right in front of them. Welcome, Cooper Hopkins. How are you doing, my friend?
Well, it's great to hear that. It's great to hear that intro, John, and I appreciate you having me along here. You know what? I frankly am so interested to hear more about what you were just touching on about the strengths of these two teams. I'm doing pretty well. One of the recent games that we covered during the holiday season, You were feeling a little under the weather. Unfortunately, here in rainy Los Angeles, I'm a little bit under the weather. Not COVID, but I do have one of those good old-fashioned colds. So if I sound a little stuffed up, please forgive me. But I'm really excited about this game, John. And your capsule right there to lead us into this one was interesting. And I'm curious, right at the end of your comments, you gave us basically not a full prediction, but you're thinking this is going to be a 2-goal margin victory for the True North, for the Maple Leafs, the Canadians. And I'm literally looking at the flag on television. I just said what I saw. So a great start for me. But I'm curious if you think we're going to need to see more heroics from none other than Connor Bedard, or if it's going to take some assistance from his teammates who are supporting him. I mean, you think that it's going to be that top line and doing damage once again, or we'll see some scoring prowess from other Canadians?
Well, here's the deal for me, because I think you hit it right on the head. Connor Bedard has already been in a situation, again, 17 years of age Connor Bedard is? He could be the number 1 pick. It certainly seems like he's elevated his stock wherever NHL team gets him. He's already been called to task a couple times to save Canada as far as some of these overtime games. If it was me, I'm going to look at Shane Wright, who's on the Seattle Kraken. He's the Canada captain right now. Joshua Waugh is another one of those other pieces. And then the one thing that Canada has some definite strength on, as you'll get a look at a little bit later, you're probably a little behind in the feed side. You have Olen Zellweger and you have Ethan Del Mastro on the back end line for Canada that can definitely provide offense. To your point, Cooper, they need to be able to push and get some other areas. I'm not saying Connor Bedard can't do it. He's already set all sorts of Canadian records. But certainly against the United States, you would think they're going to need more of a team effort if they want to get around this. This should not be an easy matchup across both sides, but I would give Canada the advantage.
Yeah, I think, obviously, John, I always look to you for the high-level expertise, and certainly when it comes to the juniors. But there are, as not only a fan, but a broadcaster, I am noticing more names. I'm much more on the fringes when it comes to the juniors than you are. But I'm literally just recognize more talent on the Canadian roster than I do on the American roster. And what I find interesting is, of course, a lot of these Canadian players happen to be. I mean, listen, we're seeing a lot of players from the Quebec League, Major Junior, and we're seeing a lot of players, John, from the WHL. In particular, of course, I'm going to lean into my own biases. So many players from the Seattle Thunderbirds, John, and are there any players that are from that WHL? We're talking Kamloops, we're talking Regina, and again, the T-Birds, as I just mentioned. Is there anyone that stands out that could be a difference in today's game that wears the blue and green for the T-Birds?
We'll end up figuring that one out, because honestly, you're sure going to lean into my expertise. I probably don't have much more than you do. I've just been able to cover some of these games. So I'm waiting here for bated breath. I know you and I'm just going to say it openly. I'd like to see the United States win, and that's just not leaning into the broadcaster bias, because we'll get into the game here in a moment. But I really want to see them win this game, Cooper, because Czechia was the team that knocked them out during August, during the COVID pause tournament. So this is a huge game. I'm expecting a lot of foot traffic on the YouTube side. I'm glad that you're along here with me. It is going to be Thomas Milic in goal. It is going to be Trey Augustine in goal for the United States, and we are getting very, very close to puck drop here. And place all tickets, everybody, because I don't know if it's going to be the same type of game that it was between Czechia and Sweden in the 2-1 overtime, but this should be a good one. So the United States have puck possession now. They're going to go right to left across this period. The United States in the all blue shirt, Canada in the white shirt with the black pants, as this one goes back down the ice. Picked up by the United States down on their own end, but they're immediately being pressured as Sean Behrens gets knocked off the puck. Logan Stankoven looks for a big-time tip, and Augustine fights it away. United States now trying to break out right to left. It's a 2-on-3. They put a shot that bounces off of the glove of Milic and put it down behind the net. He's just going to hang on as he took a crazy carom. So 19:25 in the first, we get our first stoppage.
Yeah, John, this is going to be an interesting one for me. Just listen, we've had a couple of games with some technical issues, and I'm about 30 seconds behind you on the feed here, though. But I'll definitely do my best to add some commentary when I have the opportunity. But you lead the way, my friend.
So what's going to end up happening is when we get to a commercial break or probably the intermission, if you stick through, I'll just flip to that same YouTube feed, so we'll have the same side. I just needed to get everything set up right away here. So the United States will put this in toward the right side dot, go D to D with the one-time shot, and this one gets blocked out. Canada falls on the puck as this is kept in. The United States have this with Boucher toward the left side circle, and they make the save as Thomas Milic. 19:11 left.
Yeah, John, so a question for me in terms of motivation for the United States, have you seen any areas where they have been now, we talked about the firepower for Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Are you just needing to see more firepower from the United States today for them to be able to hang in this game?
So here's the thing for me. You can have those games where it's 11-1 against Germany, but like you said, Cooper, it's what are you going to do against these big nations, against the primetime opponents? I think the United States might have to get a 4 or 5 piece here today if they want to be able to find some success. A 2-on-1 opportunity off the cross pass, and that one goes just wide. As the United States will dodge their first goal at about 18:50 in, Kevin Korchinski, Blackhawks product, skates off sides, and we'll get a neutral zone face-off with 18:52. I think they are going to need to score a little bit more goals. My question, Cooper, in the sense of what Canada has done, they've definitely shown me that they can score a lot of goals. But I think their defensive structure, and I'm not saying this as a dig, I just don't know if it's as strong as the United States. They haven't shown me a game where they can completely shut down their opponents. So that's why I think the United States might have a chance in this one. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's really interesting. I'm going to be watching in particular. I mean, we do this so often when we cover NHL games. Those goals against average for these two goalies are very close. 168 for the Canadians, 138 for the Americans. So it's going to be a tight one there.
Yes, it is. And again, this is one of those situations. I know I talked about it a little bit in the open before you joined in. I felt a little nerves when we did the Stanley Cup broadcast, Cooper, especially when we get to the final. But I think this one, I'm feeling it a little bit because I know what's on the other side. It's either a gold medal or a bronze, pretty much, you would think, with one of these teams if they win. And the United States score! It gets deflected in. Logan Cooley gets the stars and stripes on the board at 18:41. And I'm going to have to take a look at this again right off of the draw. The United States end up getting it. I think they just fire it right to the net. And it gets tipped out in front by the Arizona Coyotes product, Logan Cooley. I know Cooper's going to follow in here about 15 seconds. We'll fix the feed there in a moment. This was a shot that just went 5-hole through Milic. So Ryan Ufko fires it. It might have bounced off Stankoven. Yes, it did. And then it got picked up in the middle of the slot, fired 5-hole, beats Milic. And the United States get on the board first.
Yeah, John, listen, I mean, obviously I'm speaking in generalities here, but that is so huge. I mean, the United States, if they're going to take the victory today, you needed to get on the board first, and that's exactly what they did. So just putting the puck on net, we've seen the Calgary Flames do that in the number of games we've covered with them. And they've hit a lot of posts this year, but guess what? The Americans with more success put that one right down the middle, underneath and in the 5-hole. It's 1-zip Americans.
It's 6 straight primary assists for Ryan Ufko and Logan Cooley, who just scored a hat trick against the game against Germany. He's the number 1 product for Arizona Coyotes, and he scores the first goal for the United States. So the man that needed to provide the production is the one that's done it so far, as the United States will have a neutral zone draw. Again, it's very early, and I will try it in my best to make sure I stay very neutral in this broadcast, although I know there is vested interest depending on what nation that you're on. But this is a big-time opportunity for these two programs here, Cooper. I think we can say this in generalities. This would do a lot for the United States hockey program, and for Canada, I think it's the same. Both these teams, they know what's at stake, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so much talent here, and of course, Connor Bedard getting most of the focus can be safely presumed to be the number 1 pick in the upcoming draft. But I think a lot of these players, not only they're playing for their own profiles and opportunity to further their careers at the very outset of their professional lives, but for their countries as well, which obviously is much more important. I think to make a statement here, the United States has a huge opportunity, a huge platform to really put the whole hockey world on notice, John.
So when you think about the amount of games that have been played, probably about 5 or 6, because you get your 4 preliminaries. So you got Logan Cooley, 6 goals and 6 assists. He's going to take the draw. The United States win it, and it's going to be fired just wide there by Jimmy Snuggerud, Minnesota product. As this one gets picked up down the ice and cleared. This is not going to be icing, so the United States can look to break out. Luke Hughes able to stay on his feet. You got to watch out for the U of M product, Luke Hughes. He can definitely skate and soak in that entire Hughes family. He picks it up now off the backhand, puts it in the high slot, turns back for a shot, and it goes right into the catching glove of Milic. As the United States, this is something to keep in mind early, and I think this is a good start for them. They're up 4-0 on the shot board, and they have the first goal. The Canadians have not registered a shot just yet, 17-24 in the first.
Yeah, John, listen, you've been in depth with the coverage of the IIHF World Juniors here, and so my question to you before we get back into the action, and let me know if you have a moment to respond, is have you seen Canada ever have a stretch where they had trouble getting the puck on net? Because, we're not deep into the first here, but we're several minutes in, they haven't going on yet.
Canada's had a couple of these games, whether the ones that they come out and dominate late or the ones that they've struggled in to start, where they've had some 5, 6, 7-minute stretches before they find their way into the game and able to get that on. So it's very important for the United States to capitalize on that right now. They've got the first goal. But Canada will definitely start to find their footing, I would say, within the next 4 or 5 minutes. It's bounced out in front, and Cooley was trying to get to it. As this bounces off the referee, and this is going to go back through the neutral zone. So, yes, Canada's had some of these stretches. If the United States can do themselves a big favor, look, I'm not going to say it's going to happen. They can score another goal here within the next few minutes while Canada's still trying to find their footing. I think that would be very great for them, but having a 1-goal lead right now early, like you said, Cooper, that's the most important thing at this point.
Yeah, and to your point from earlier, assuming that Canada is going to be able to turn things on, which I think both of us would be surprised if they do not. We're going to be looking for the United States. I'm sure their goal is to put 2 in per period. Get a six pack and see where they land.
So now the United States will try to get this into the neutral zone. It's the 4th line out there with Connors right now. They're going to drop pass shot, big rebound, and the United States just missed it off the left side post. I thought they might have scored again as this goes around the end boards. Now for another shot, it's tipped on off the stick of Milic, and he makes the save. So it's a great start for USA right now, 7 shots to nothing, and it's starting to get a little testy in behind the net of Milic.
Not surprised to see a little pushing and shoving there, John, because the USA has looked to be the better of these two teams early. And even though I'm behind in the feed here, your call was excellent. And boy, you had me just about jumping off the couch. I thought it was going to be 2-0 United States, but they were just inches away, and they are all around it right now.
I promise when we get in the commercial, I'll flip the feed back into that link. I know it was USA Canada or something like that. I got to find that on YouTube because there's an IIHF one that's unofficial. Everybody's trying to find this game however they can do it. I don't blame anybody right now because you have to be able to watch what's going on right now. If you're a hockey fan, even if it is the World Juniors, it's the United States and Canada, Cooper. This is big time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it makes me think of all the classic matchups in the Olympics that we've seen in the past. Hopefully those will be a thing again in the future. But right now, this is what we got, and this is a really fantastic game so far.
So the United States will win another offensive zone draw as Jimmy Snuggerud gets knocked off the puck, but he's able to stay alive toward the right side red line. And now picked up off the D side. Boucher going to fire one right on off the stick of Milic, and it goes up and out of play. So 9 shots to nothing right now. The United States have a 1-goal advantage with 15:52 left in the first. I keep bringing this up because there's so much time, but the shot board is very, very one-sided right now. And if you're head coach Dennis Williams, keep it at 1. And then I would say probably toward that midpoint of this game, Cooper, if you don't see a little pushback here, I'd start to be a little concerned if you get to the 10-minute mark, you don't have a shot on goal yet. But Canadians will win this defensive zone draw. It's the first one that they've won, and now they'll immediately turn it over as Ufko gets taken down the defensive side there for the United States, but no call. A little bit of a trip there, but It's usually called pretty tight on the WJCs, and these players know that from all these games in the preliminaries. You got to be able to keep your stick on the ice and not get anything up in the air. So middle stat, we'll try to get this now for the United States. This is a nice bank off the inboards, but this will go back to the defensive pairing of Hinds for Canada. So it'll be Hinds and Clarke, the second line out there right now, as this is battled into the neutral zone. Ostapchuk gets knocked off the puck, and the United States will play this back as this goes back to the third line defense there. Barons and Ufko now into the neutral zone. Going to be entered there. Gaucher going to try to get a shot on as this goes off the stick of Augustine of the United States netminder. Centered out in front. Try to find Ostapchuk, and the United States will find it, but they can't clear it out. Mastro tries to keep it in here for Canada now. It's their first sustained zone pressure of the game, and now this is flipped out. And we'll see if the United States are going to be busted for a delay of game for flipping the puck over the boards. Rand Pecknold, he's the head coach out of Quinnipiac. The Bobcats have a great program. He's stone-faced and looking down right now as the Zebras are coming together here. Flipping the puck over the glass is a 2-minute delay of game if they get to it. So this is the replay that we're going to have. Go ahead, Cooper.
No, John, I was going to say, listen, again, these are obvious statements, but ones that need to be made. And when you've done so well as the Stars and Stripes have done here in the first 5+ minutes, the last thing you need is really just an unlucky penalty like that could potentially turn the tide here and change momentum. I mean, the United States, like I said, I'll stick to it. They've looked to be the better team here, and that could change when you have to go on the PK.
So Dylan Duke was the one that flipped it out, but I think the refs are going to rule that it went off of a Canadian stick. There's no penalty, but it's going to be an offensive zone draw here for Canada. So United States dodge a bullet now, but they've got to be able to get this puck out of the offensive end as it was brushed through the blue paint. That just went wide, and now Ufko tries to pick it up here for the United States. Dylan Duke was the one that flipped it. He's still back on the ice right now. Now the United States will get this back into the neutral zone. Ethan Del Mastro has it here for Canada as they try to find a zone entry, but the United States closes it out. And again, this gets flipped over the glass. And this is Dylan Duke again, and I think this one may be. Yes, he is. So 2 times. How odd is that? The first one goes off of a Canadian stick. The second one goes clear over the glass. And now the Canadians will have a power play.
Well, John, you know what? Apparently it's not just the pros. When we have a classic John Cooper Hopkins contest, we got something I've never seen before. I've definitely never seen 2 delay of game penalties. Well, one that was, of course, waved off, and then now the one that's going to stand. But to have those happen within less than 60 seconds of one another, I don't know if I've ever seen that.
No, I can't say that either. And it's on the same player, too. Dylan Duke, he got away with one. He couldn't get away with the second one. Good forechecking here by the United States on their kill. 14 minutes left to go in this first period. It's a 9-0 shot advantage for the United States. They have a 1-goal lead, but the Canadians have a power play, and they've been very good at this, and Connor Bedard's been very good at this, is they'll keep this D-to-D. Canada being patient, looking for a shooting lane as they try to find Gauthier, and the United States try to flip it out. They can't. This bounces off of Augustine. That is going to count as the first shot on, but Canada keeps this in, looking for the 1-T off the dot to dot, and this one gets fought off by the defense. But Canada still holds this blue line. 1:05 left to go on the power play. Fake the slap shot, now fake it in the high slot. As this gives back around the horn. Now on the high slot is one of the forwards. Gauthier looking for a tip, and this one gets fought off the stick of Augustine. Now it's on the left side red line, wide open, was up, and he didn't shoot. And they elected for a pass instead for Shane Wright to shoot it, and Augustine was able to recover. Very curious decision to not shoot that puck. And I think it gave Trey Augustine the time he needed to be able to make a leverage save in the slot.
Yeah, John, I can't help but have flashes of Jonathan Huberdeau in my mind right now, which tells me, listen, and I don't mean to dump on Jonathan Huberdeau, still one of the best hockey players in the world, but that could be the sign of a team that's playing a little tight right now, don't you think?
I do. It's 4 shots straight for the power play right now for Canada, but I do. I don't think he's second guess anytime, Cooper. I don't care what level you're on. You're in a shot, you're in the dot, and you have the puck settled down, you fire it. There is no hesitation right now. You know all of your other defense and everything else behind you will back you up. So D, the puck goes off the faceoff. Olen Zellweger trying to corral. Hinds will fire into the screen. And Augustine has made 6 straight saves. All of Canada's shots right now are on this power play, and they still have 38 seconds to work with here, Cooper. So their power play, regardless of not scoring yet, has looked very, very good.
Yeah, and this is what we were talking about during the break when the referees were coming together to decide about that first delay of game, which of course did not happen. Now all of a sudden the shots are looking a lot more even, and Canada's picking up momentum.
So Zellweger will get this off the draw, fake the slapper, hold in the high slot. Bedard, his shot gets blocked as this goes back to Zellweger. They'll go D one more time. Zellweger's still in the high slot now for Canada. Here's Connor Bedard working his way through the circles, tries to toe drag in between Luke Hughes. Great defense by Hughes to dive and knock it away. He did not bite for what Connor Bedard's been selling. Zellweger finds the entry with the help of Del Mastro. United States and Jack Pert stuck in their own end right now. Canada will try to fire this on across the blue paint. United States have killed the penalty, but Canada still got it in the offensive zone as this goes around the office of Augustine. This is on the left side red line. United States now can try to find their footing as this gets dumped in the players' bench. When you dump it in the players' bench, there's no penalty, but it's going to be a neutral zone draw. With 12:09 left to go in the first, I'm going to flip my feed really quickly if we can time it up right now as we got a commercial.
Yeah, and John, I just want to say as you do that, maybe hold off real quickly because I want you to have the very clear, and up-to-date feed. I'm still seeing things on the YouTube side, but not getting the full, basically not getting the full screen.
Okay.
So I'm sure I could click around and find another feed of the game, but definitely stick with what you got because you're leading the way for us here, and I appreciate it.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll hold on to this for the first period, and if you find something else, then we'll figure that out as we go then.
Yeah, yes, indeed. No, I've got sort of a kind of a partial view here, which is understandable given YouTube guidelines, etc. But I'm able to still see quite a bit of things. So I'm not fully not out of the picture here, but I'm just excited that we are able to do this. And thanks for having me on board.
No, I appreciate being able to do this. Like I said, if it was easy enough to be able to give you a cable feed on that side, I would definitely do that. So the fact to even have you on there, I was looking forward to this, regardless of whatever it is. So if there is anything that you have to do, don't worry about it. But I appreciate you hopping on board here and taking this game in. And tomorrow, regardless of whoever wins, I'm going to have the gold medal game at 6:30 Eastern. We're going to figure out who's going to win. So Canada, another offensive zone draw, but this one is actually brushed ahead by Gauthier of the United States. They'll put this one down toward the left side. And the United States will get to it toward the left side dot. They'll try to go D, but Canada able to get a piece of the puck there for momentarily. And they'll not able to get it out of their own zone as this takes a crazy hop off of a stick chop. And now into the neutral zone, the United States will collect. Logan Cooley, he's the lone goal scorer right now. He's got the puck as he held off the backhand near the left side dot. Cooley will go cross pass, dot to dot. Great move there. Snuggerud trying to fire it on. It's loose. Huge rebound. Oh, Milic with the stick save. Knocks it away at the last moment. I thought that was going to be an open net. But a great job by the United States. Once they killed that penalty, they fired it right on. It was Cooley, found Snuggerud right on the doorstep, and Milic stopped it with the knob of his stick. It really was that close. Cooley. Now D Pert with the fire. And this one goes to the left side of the dot. United States all over this puck right now. Canada just trying to get it out of their own end. It's centered up right out in front into the blue paint, and Mittelstadt had it knocked away by Milic. United States still with us now. As they go back to the D side, Milic will fire. And this one will get picked up. Excuse me, that was Hughes. That fired as a shot got blocked. And now this goes back. Hunting. We'll have a piece of it on the United States defensive side as Mittelstadt tries to get back in there with Rutger McGroarty. Chaz Lucius will get it. McGroarty tries to fire. He gets blocked. The United States have had this for about a minute and a half, and they're still able to keep this on the blue line side before Canada can exhale. We've almost hit the halfway marker of this first period. I would say With the exception of that penalty, the United States has been the better team, but there's so much time left. Lucius shoots one. This is going to take a nice bounce off the end boards for the United States. A back check. This could be a one-on-one. Logan Stankoven will shoot it, and this one will get fought off by Trey Augustine. It's loose in the high slot. Hinds will settle it down, but too much puck possession there for Canada. Instead of firing it on, he turns it over. The United States will get this now and across the red line. Ufko tries to get to it. Canada with the breakout pass, and United States will collect. No penalty on the collision there on that side, as this gets picked up by Sean Behrens. Drop pass, rebound, scores! United States take a 2-0 lead.
Wow, my goodness, John. I am so impressed with the United States play right now. Listen, I may be about a minute behind you on the feed, but that gives me a chance to really soak in a lot of this offensive zone work that the Americans are doing. And frankly, John, you made a great call that they had a rebound on the doorstep at about 11:25. They almost made it 2-0, and now they deserve to have that second goal. United States on fire right now.
Yes, they are, and I just got to look at it myself. Luke Hughes was the one that had it saved by the knob of the stick. This is a standard drop pass in the middle of the slot. It set up a rebound opportunity for Kenny Connors. No flybys. He goes right to the net. Full speed Cooper shoots it, puts it on. It's a 2-0 lead for the United States, his second of the tournament. A big one at that, at a 10:30 marker from Charlie Stramel and Gavin Brindley. So, again, I will say with bated breath, at any point this game will not be over. We said this a lot between the Stanley Cup finals between Tampa and Colorado. You have that kind of respect. I have that kind of respect for Canada. But this was the start that the United States needed. And Cooper, I can say this honestly, they need to keep this type of pressure going. There cannot be any sort of relent.
No, absolutely. There is no question about it. This is the type of play. I even alluded to it earlier in our coverage. 2 goals a period, I think, should be a goal at minimum for the United States. We know they can score in bunches. We also know they're not playing Germany. This is Canada, but my goodness, what a hot start for the United States. Fantastic stuff.
So this is Hudson trying to get to the puck bounce. Canada will get some offensive zone possession again for Canada. All 7 of their shots have come from their first power play, the only power play of the contest. This could be a 2-on-1, but Augustine was able to get a piece of it on the cross pass, and they will hold. 8:16 left to go in the first. Shots are 15-8. United States has a 2-0 lead as we get an ice break and a commercial stoppage.
Yeah, this is, John, I can't make it any clearer that this is, I wouldn't say a shock, but the United States has really had the run of play here. Obviously, Canada with the one-man advantage. They did put a number of shots on. In fact, if my math is correct, they have 6 of 7 of their shots.
Yes.
The Canadians came on power play. So 1 shot on goal, John, at 5-on-5, and not a ton of real pressure or 5-on-5 scoring opportunities for the home team here. This is a big start for the United States, and I haven't seen some of the big names. That's what we were talking about in our open. I haven't seen a ton of the big names be as involved as I expected them to be at this point in the game for the Canadians.
And here's the other name that I forgot, too, because when you think about Connor Bedard, who's going to be the number 1 side, they mentioned a few times in the TSN when I caught a few of these broadcasts that Adam Fantilli, he's on the 3rd line nowadays. He's supposed to be a top 10, top 15 prospect. Logan Stankoven's already a product of the Stars who plays center. These guys have been relatively silent, and I don't think the United States wants to do anything to wake them up. I know we can say that, obviously, as we're back underneath the action now. It's an offensive zone draw win, and Canada scores immediately, and we're going to see who this is going to be. I think it is Connor Bedard. So the one man that's been doing it all here for Canada, right off the face-off win, he goes right to the right side of the dot. He finds it, buries it past Augustine, and the hero for Canada, Connor Bedard, makes it a 2-1 game.
Wow, John, well, just on the heels, there I am looking like a real pro, saying the big names haven't been flashing. Of
They
course,
woke up.
Just strike like lightning right there, and that is none other than Connor Bedard. I mean, that's where will and skill meet. I mean, he's like a Venn diagram where the diagram's just a circle. It's like he can do anything he wants because he has the ability to do so. And all of a sudden, a crowd that was out of it, a team that seemed to be out of it here in the first, is right back in it. They cut the lead in half, 2-1. United States still with the 1-goal advantage.
If you're a Canadian fan, that's exactly what you want to see. And I'm not even talking about narrowing the deficit. I'm talking about getting into the greasy areas, willing to fight through traffic, get to the net, and score. And that's exactly what Connor Bedard did. His 9th of the tournament, folks. He is that good. As this one gets cleared down the ice, this will be icing, so Canada cannot change. Connor Bedard will be sitting on the bench for this shift.
Yeah, John, do you think it's any wonder? Do you think it's any surprise? Can we judge anyone, whether it's on Twitter or any other platform, wanting their teams in the NHL to tank for Connor Bedard?
Absolutely not.
It's incredible. It's just unquestionable. He will be number one. He will change the makeup of a team in a matter of months.
Yeah, because Cooper, the way that he scored some of his goals, I mean, hell, even that game against Slovakia the other day when they won an OT, he undressed 3 defenders in from the high slot and then put a backhand in on goal. I mean, he's unreal. His edge work, his shot, his ability to get to the net, like you said, he can literally do everything. And he's only 17 years old.
Yep, guys. I mean, this is the kind of talent that fans of a hockey salivate over, John. It's going to be potentially, this is lofty praise, but someone like who in Edmonton.
Yes.
That's the level we're talking about.
So the United States are going to win an offensive zone draw now. It's a 2-1 game. Connor Bedard has given the Canadians a little bit of life, and as Cooper really said, I mean, this is a Canadian home crowd here in Halifax, and they were kind of sitting on their hands until Connor Bedard kind of brought them to their feet. And now for the United States, I can say this honestly, you got to make sure you keep this at a 2-1 scoreline, or if not build, but you cannot concede another one because Canada is going to be right back to level going to the dressing room. Cross pass, this one gets blocked there by Luke Hughes, but it's very dangerous and behind Augustine's net right now. It's toward the red line. Canada finding their footsteps now from the Bedard goal as they'll put this around the end boards, pinch in. This goes off the stick of Augustine, and now Canada lost it as this gets picked up, and Rutger McGroarty will get it down for the United States as Zach Dean will collect, and Hinds will get it down deep for Canada as they'll pinch this in. Huge collision toward the right side red line, and Canada still with it now. There were players coming together on both sides doing an up end. You're going to like that replay there, Cooper, on that side. Jimmy Snuggerud trying to find it. Stick is loose. Canada still with this right now. The United States just trying to get it out of their own end. They finally will, as this goes across the IIHF logo. It's a battle now through the neutral zone side. Canada will play this off the embankment. The United States will collect with Kenny Connors. Good sauce pass, but what a hit in toward the players' bench. Is now Canada starting to level out the bodies here. They've really kind of turned the tide since scoring that Bedard goal. They're still down by 1, but this looks like the team that we expect as the puck goes over the glass again. And we're going to see if this is going to be a penalty. I don't think so, but I might have to turn my TV up just a smidge. 5:54 left to go in the first as we get a TV timeout.
Wow, John, I mean, yeah, I'm now, because of the slight delay on the feed here for me, like I said, I'm getting the benefit of sort of reliving your call before my very eyes. And yeah, this is a Canada team that has all of a sudden found a heartbeat. You can see that when the skill and goal scoring ability starts to merge with physicality. Yeah, they're in this thing now, and I would say to the United States, look out. You put yourself ahead literally on the scoreboard, and also in terms of momentum. But Canada seems to be pulling that rope back quite a bit right now.
Yeah, and I think that's what we talked about 5 minutes in, and whether it was a general blanket statement or not, I think we both hit the nail on the head in the sense of the United States. You have to have that same level of pushback. Look, Cooper, you and I and everyone else that's listening to the broadcast between Twitter Spaces and YouTube, and we appreciate you. Alec on that side for listening in. we know that there's going to be pushback, and the United States have to expect that too. I don't know how hard it would be, Cooper, in all of sports, because again, this is just me speaking with cerebral palsy and all of that. But in the sense of being able to play at a level of 10, let's say a level of 13 out of 10 at all times. But I think this is a game where you have to do that and drain that energy in the gasoline tank, don't you?
Yeah, and well, you know what? You were talking about it in context of the United States path for potential gold here, and taking the top spot. But this also can be said for Canada. This really, I mean, this is the ultimate matchup, right? We're watching it, John. We're commenting on it right now, and of course there will be a massive challenge in that final round. But for either of these teams, this is the hill that must be climbed. And we're watching the United States do an excellent job of getting out of the gate, which I think they had to. I mean, if we were talking about the opposite, John, and Canada's up 2-0 and the United States gets one back, listen, hey, great, you scored a goal. But I think that we would just be expecting Canada to continue to pull away. Now, what I'm interested to continue to see here as we get closer to our first intermission is what the United States can do to get back into the scoring ways, because we know they have to put more on board.
And you know what? I think you said it perfectly. That would kind of make me sad the other way, but you're right. If this score line was flipped and the United States got there first, I'd be thinking the same thing. Like, okay, you need to score the next 3 or 4 for me to be able to have the belief on the other side. So I think that's a very astute point by you. They're doing a little bit of ice scrapage and a little bit of work right now. So we're going to get a little bit of an extended talking at 5:54 in the first.
Yeah, and listen, and John, as somebody who hasn't watched every single one of these games in this tournament, I'm just astounded by Connor Bedard. I know he gets tons of attention, and rightly so. But 9 goals, and John, am I seeing that correctly? Does he also have 13 assists just in this tournament?
He does.
That's incredible. I mean, we're talking about well into the 20 points for not a very lengthy tournament. And this is a talent that I'm fully expecting to change a team. I know I said this a few minutes ago, and we both know it's true. But he's going to change the fortunes of a team here very soon. It's going to be exciting to watch.
I want to make sure that I get my math correct. So there's 4 preliminary games. They just played the quarterfinals. So this is game number 6. So he's done this going into 6 games of action. And he broke Jordan Eberle's record, who's on the Seattle Kraken now for the most points in World Junior Canadian history.
Yeah, it's astonishing. It's so impressive, and he's already on the score sheet tonight, and I only expect it to continue. I mean, this is more than a handful of points per game for one player. Yeah, what can you say? He's the lifeblood of this Canadian team, and I imagine if the United States can even stay close to this level of play as the game continues, they're going to probably need Connor Bedard again. The Canadians are to, if not tally, at least work with a couple of apples here, because it seems like all of their offensive play, and almost all of their offensive play, runs through him.
So let's just make a blunt blanket statement, or at least I'll throw this out there right now. So if you're Canada, United States had a little push. It was 2-0. Canada bounced back. You think Canada feels pretty good about themselves right now that they got the United States right where they want them?
Yeah, I think so. And look, John, you and I have talked about this many times in a number of different games that we've covered. I think when you enter a break, having not really accomplished anything for yourself, I mean, look, you want solid shifts. Of course, you want to build some momentum for your team. You want to have clean zone entries and extended offensive zone time, et cetera, et cetera. But barring a massive, inspiring save from your goaltender, which of course could only come from a defensive breakdown, you need to put one on the board, I think, to get yourself in the right headspace. And look, that goal scored by Canada obviously came well before the intermission. We're still about 6 minutes away from intermission here, or a little less. But to get that goal when they did, when the United States really had that, frankly, that second goal scored could have been the third. They were right around it in the minutes prior to that second goal scored for the U.S. So, yeah, that's my long-winded way of saying Canada did what they needed to do at just the right time.
So Zellweger has it now for Canada. We've hit the 5-minute marker officially. On that side, it's a 2-1 lead for the United States. The latest goal was Connor Bedard. This is a puck into the neutral zone as Canada able to chip and chase and get that zone entry with Hinds. He's trying to keep this alive toward the right side red line. The United States once again trying to get this out. Not prolonged puck possession yet for Canada, but this has been a back end ever since the Bedard goal, that this has been all Canada, but it's still an edge for the United States in the score line. The United States will collect, safely dump this across the red line as Milic will watch it go around the end boards. Canada passes it off to themselves off one of the skates. They're able to get an entry, and Connors will brush it down deep as this gets picked up by Canada now. So Hinds has it, turnover, Kenny Connors, it's 1-on-3, shot gets fired. Good block there by Hinds. That one's going to hurt on the left leg side. There's not a lot of padding. He's just kind of hopping around. He can't get off the ice. The United States will keep this alive there with Jack Pert. Good setup there. Snuggerud trying to find it. And this gets knocked away as Ryan Ufko will come back and help out Jack Pert. As this goes around the neutral zone side, try to get dumped down by the United States, and Canada will cancel it out. Pert will touch up. It is 3:45 left to go in the first. He's going to have a little bit of a lengthy chat there with his goaltender, Trey Augustine, as the forwards will change here for the United States. 16 shots to 11. Rutger McGroarty racing down the left wing in full flight, but he got knocked away as Othmann was able to play a good 200-foot game, the left winger, and knock it away from him. Canada has this now toward the left side dot. It gets turned over for Chaz Lucius, but it got knocked away by Canada with some active stick checks. So they are playing the defense that they need. It's a 3-on-2 developing, but over skating is one of the Canadians, and now Rutger McGroarty has to find an entry. He's got to drop there for Lucius if he wants it. He shoots, and it gets upended. Big-time shot. There's a broken twig on the ice, and it's a race for the puck. Who's going to get it? It looks like Canada. That's going to negate the icing as this goes back here for Boucher, here for Canada. And the United States try to keep this alive off their forehand, although it's still stuck on the hand. It took a bounce off the head of Ufko's helmet, and now is in behind the office of Augustine. Bodies will come together as the United States are able to break out with this. Hughes tried to hit Ufko, but the pass went off his skate blade, and now it's a race the other way in Canada's defensive zone along the left side boards. This gets picked up by the Canadians now. Long flip in as this gets corralled by the defense, and they'll settle it back down. Pert with a nice pass. Dylan Duke will drop it here for McGroarty, and the shot 5-hole troubled Milic for a moment, and there was a big collision on one of the Canadian players. It was Dylan Duke and Mastro. As soon as it was saved, that was a big hit. 2:17 left to go in the first.
Yeah, John, I'm so impressed by the way the Canadians have turned up the heat here. The U.S., though, are still holding their own when it comes to the physicality, and this is something we've talked about before, John. I don't want either of these teams who've shown some real scoring ability here. We know they put goals in the net with relative ease throughout the tournament. I don't want to have either team get too distracted by the hitting, right? You still want to build your offense. You want to build into the offensive zone with some precision. So I hope that continues as we move forward.
And to your point, that was what happened during the Slovakia-Canada game in the quarterfinal, where it was getting real physical, and the refs had to come in there and say, listen, anyone else that continues to do this, and this was about after 8 or 9 scrums, they were just going to kick somebody out. So Joshua Waugh, Stankoven, as it's about 2 minutes left to go in this first, picked up by the United States. Waugh able to intercept Stankoven with a shot. It fired just wide of the right post. Now it's loose dangerously out in front. Augustine got a piece of it as his stick gets caught up in the face, or somebody has their stick stuck underneath the glass. I think I've seen a little bit of everything so far in this broadcast. But now this is the neutral zone. The United States able to intercept. They're able to get their entry. It's a 3-on-2. If they can keep it alive toward the right side dot, now near the right side red line. Good work there by the United States as Gavin Brindley has it now. He's working off the forehand, working off the backhand, sits it up for Hughes as Milic makes a big save underneath his stomach, but now it's in behind his cage. 1:15 left to go in the first. 18 shots to 12. U.S. is a 2-1 advantage. Connor Bedard with the latest goal for Canada. The United States has the offensive zone pressure as McGroarty will get this one down deep as this goes back to Brindley. Kept on the blue line side. Canada finally forces that turnover. Now this could be a race right down the middle of the zone. holding the back skate, and this goes right in the catching glove of Augustine. That was a great save with 55 seconds left to go in this first.
So, John, who do you think it's more important to have a solid final minute of this period? Obviously, the clear answer would be, okay, yeah, Canada's down 2-1 on the scoreboard. We need to see them pick things up here. I think it may be more important for the United States to make a final push here before we get the break.
I'm going to go the same way as you. I know what Canada is capable of doing. I think the United States needs to be able to show themselves. Look, again, they got bounced by Czechia in August. They couldn't even get a bronze. Now they're playing Canada. They're going to be playing Czechia after that. They need to have this big close minute and make sure they go into the intermission with the lead. Stankoven with a shot gets fired near side and gets blocked. Canada has it in the zone right now. About 30 seconds left to go in this first. Ostapchuk loses it here for Canada. Nice backhanded pass. It was a flutterer there as Chaz Lucius tried to get a piece of it. 20 seconds left to go here in this first. Canada has it in their own end. One long forechecker here for the United States, but I feel that they should pull back here for this trap because now there's two, just in case there is a breakout. And you got Bedard on the ice, but not just yet, as Canada will take their time. 5 seconds to go. They have this in behind the office of Augustine. He's holding on to the right post. United States, it gets loose in front, but that's it, and that's all. At the end of the first, USA has a 2-1 lead over Canada.
Great job, John, in that first period, and especially for me, you're helping me out as I still have about 50 seconds left as I'm watching the end of the period unfold here. I will say, since I have it in front of me, one of the things I'm liking from the United States is their stick handling. They seem really confident in tight spaces. I mean, obviously that's how Canada won their game the other night with, absolutely otherworldly stick handling from Bedard. Just did it himself, walked through almost the entire offensive zone to get that fourth goal in overtime for Canada. But the United States are no slouches. They seem to be confident with the puck on their sticks, and I think that's going to continue to bode well for them as the game goes on against such a skilled team like Canada.
I think so too, and I think it's one of those situations that I can look at it, not even at the broadcaster side, but being a member just like you, United States on that side, you know what? You're not being one of those situations where you're second guessing yourself. United States seem pretty clear about what they want to do. They want to make quick transitions when they get in the offensive zone. They're quick about what they want to do with their pass, keeping the puck alive, getting shots on, and getting on to the next part of the play. They're not trying to do too much, and they're not trying to second guess their game plan. And I really think that bodes well with the team, regardless of the result today. If Canada comes back and wins or whatever happens, I think the United States team can feel pretty good about their first, feel pretty good about their tournament, and know that they've came into this tournament, I should say, over the August side. They seem to be a confident bunch.
Yeah, and listen, John, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but if you can think back into your recent archives regarding just this tournament, right? So Canada being down, 2 periods to go, they're down by 1, right? Can you think of, has there been another example when Canada has been down after 20 minutes of play where they've needed to come back in either the second or the third periods to get a victory, or have they really been kind of out in front the whole way? Obviously, I understand the tie in their last contest and getting the overtime victory there. But I do know that the goal was scored. They were in the lead until the third when that game was tied, and then they eventually won it in overtime. So that's my question to you, John. Can you think of another example like this where Canada's had to, because they're going to, very simply, they're going to have to make a push for a minimum of 2 goals if they want to win this in regulation?
No, they're going to have to, and the only way that I can end up answering that, Cooper, is they've been in a lot of 1-goal games, but they've had the lead in a lot of those 1-goal games. So they haven't been in a situation where they've been strictly behind like this, although it's early. The only team that kind of just whooped them around a little bit was Czechia. They came back in that second period, and they already had a lead. It was like 2-1, and then they scored 3 more goals in that second and put the game away. So other than the Czechia game to open the preliminaries, every single time Canada's had a 1-goal lead.
Got you. Yep. And as I look back through some of the games here in the tournament, it's interesting to see what some of these other countries are doing. And it hasn't been just the United States and Canada show here. I mean, this has been pretty interesting when we think about Czechia. Of course, they've been a power for some time in that second tier, right below the Canadians and the Americans. And maybe this is recency bias, and I know that you were, I believe you were on this game. The Latvians really have made a push here in this tournament. I'm curious to see if that changes fortunes for them going forward. They haven't been complete pushovers.
No.
I mean, I have been aware of some success that they've had over a number of years, but it seems like in this tournament in particular, they've looked strong.
No, really, there's only been two teams, Cooper, throughout the whole tournament. I'm not just talking about the relegation game, but I'd throw Germany, I'd throw Austria in there as like the only two kind of no-show teams that really didn't provide anything in the tournament. When you're thinking about Finland, Switzerland, Sweden, Czechia, United States, Canada, they've all shown themselves very well, and everybody's beaten everybody. So this has been a really good tournament. It's not been completely one-sided when they said going into the tournament, Cooper, that Canada was going to beat everybody and beat the snot out of everybody.
Yeah, and I have to give credit where it's due too. You actually made a good point, John. There has been a lot of parity because, of course, I'm praising Latvia, and look, they've looked decent. But of course, they lost to Finland, and Latvia also lost to Slovakia. Slovakia beat the United States. What an interesting tournament. A lot of balance in terms of the wins and losses, and in this play. But yeah, when it comes down to it, it's always going to be Canada and the United States, and here we are. I'm very impressed by the first period that the Americans put together, and like I said, I'm going to stick to it. This is kind of I didn't call it a key to the game, but if the United States can do what is, I don't think anyone expected them to do, which is put 2 in per period, right?
Yeah.
I think that they're going to be in an excellent spot.
So I want to say this as far as the stream side. I've looked at 3 different ones that all have the box in the middle. So I hate to put you out like that, but if you're comfortable with me just kind of taking it off of the main feed, then we'll keep it that way. But if not, I can try to find one of these other feeds.
Oh no, let's make it easy for you, my friend. You got everything set up, and like I said, you're out front for us, for everyone tuned in, including myself. And I actually found one here that has the TSN feed, so the Canadian coverage, but it is still on a delay. So I will get to have kind of like magic wand out. It's almost like I feel like I'm on the telestrator or something. When we get stoppages, I'll be able to call it as I see it, since it will literally be right in front of my eyes in that moment.
All right, sounds cool. So you know what? Again, I appreciate you even doing this, and also off the record and all that. I know I sent the check out there from everything else that was on the address that you provided, so that one's all good. But I know the address that you provided with the card that I just got from you was a different address. So I hope that the one that you sent me with on the Instagram side was the one that you wanted, because that's where the check got sent to.
Oh, that's great, man. Yeah, that's just Jen and I, my wife. Yeah, we're that. I think I sent the card. Here's what's fun. Actually, I'll give an interesting layout for our listeners here. So I sent John, who's on play-by-play tonight. I sent John a Christmas card, and I sent it from Connecticut. We were back east visiting family prior to Christmas. I think on the card, John, I put a Los Angeles return address.
You did.
Which is where Jen and I live. And then John is a dedicated Matty Beniers fan. I happen to be in Seattle for Christmas, through Christmas, to see my parents, my sister, and niece, nephew, etc. Couldn't pass up the opportunity to make a dream come true for my good friend John out in Michigan. Got him from the Seattle Kraken team store a custom Matty Beniers jersey, the home navy. It's a thing of beauty. John, I'm literally not lying. I'm saying this truthfully. Once I had it in my car and I kind of looked at it, I was like, well, shit, I want this. And excuse me for swearing. Sorry, we're trying to be
We're all good.
And so I sent it off, and I put a completely separate return address on that one. So when you get it, John, you will see another return address, which is my parents'
Okay.
In a town north of Seattle. And then the end of this story is that John was very sweet. He reimbursed me for the jersey. I wish I had all the money in the world to just be sending jerseys around the country to friends, but he sent me a check, and that check is going to arrive in Orange County, where my wife's mother lives, because the mail carriers in our neighborhood in Los Angeles have been less than reliable in the past. So there's your story, and I guess, what are we done with the first intermission? I just talked for a long time.
No, we have about 5 minutes it said around my board, so we still got that left. So no, that's cool. So that's all going to get sent out there. I'm really looking forward to being able to see that. And like I said to you, I hope at some point, man, we actually get a chance to check out an NHL game. I don't have a closet littered full of jerseys. So this will only be like the second one for me, because I think the only other one that I got there is a Stevie Y from back in the day. So it'll be Stevie Y and Matty Beniers is the only two ones that I have. But what I will say, and I will be honest with it, if you ever get a chance to go back to the Saddle Dome, I will get a Nazem Kadri red. Nazem Kadri's sweet, man. I'd like to get that jersey for sure.
Yeah, and those classic Flames jerseys. I'm so glad they brought back the sort of original red, all the way back to the Atlanta Flames designs. But yeah, those stripes with the yellow and white. I don't know. I'm deeply biased, but I think there's some of the best looking jerseys in hockey, maybe in sports. I don't think a lot of people would agree with me, but they're right up there with the classics. I mean, you got the Rangers jerseys, the Red Wings, obviously. You can't beat that design with the winged wheel. But yeah, I'm happy that a Kraken jersey will be. That's a pretty lofty spot for you, John. And only Stevie Y, and then now Matty Beniers. My goodness, I mean, I know the guy's going to be a star. That's a lot of pressure to be hanging up next to Stevie Y in John Hahn's closet.
Well, here's the thing for me locally on that side. For Yost Arena and U of M, I can rock one of those Beniers ones, and nobody's going to be mad at me. And I can just give Lauren my U of M shirt. So we'll just do it that way. That's how we'll figure it out.
We got it all squared away. But yeah, I will certainly be back at the Saddle Dome, hopefully sometime soon. And I agree. I know we've said it many times, but I'd love to hop on a plane and come see a Red Wings game, or you name it. We'll make it happen. Hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We only have 3 games on the NHL board today. As I'm looking at the Czechia highlights right now, that was a spectacular game for anyone that got a chance to catch it. So New Jersey Devils, they're 2-7-2 in their last stretch. They're playing against the Red Wings. Curious one for me, and again, I don't have a lot of inside information as far as all of this. So Jacob Vrana just went through the Players Assistance Program. He's one of those guys that had been very good for Washington, but he was always stuck on the depth side, because when you have Kuznetsov, Backstrom, Oshie, Ovechkin, the list goes on, you won't be able to get one of those top-tier spots. He gets traded to the Red Wings from Anthony Mantha on that side. Now he enters the program, and I'm going to say it the right way. I hope that he gets all the assistance and things that he needs. Well, it comes out yesterday, he gets placed on the waivers for a conditioning stint, and he's not claimed because he's got about a $5.5 million cap hit. The reason why he got sent down is because Robbie Fabry, who's coming off the ACL tear, is making his debut right now, since tearing it in March. So New Jersey and Detroit, they're playing that one at LCA. That one's tied at 0. The late game on TNT is another really good one between Tampa and Minnesota. And then Dallas and Anaheim will be the off-color game on that side that will not be on TNT. That'll be on ESPN+. So New Jersey, Detroit, and Tampa, Minnesota on TNT should be a couple good ones here tonight.
Yeah, and I'm just going to, since we have such a short slate of games tonight, John, I'm just going to look back to yesterday when it comes to the National Hockey League. And a couple of games that I was paying attention to, one with some pretty happy results for me, and then one with not so happy results. The Kraken take down the Oilers last night, 5-2. Really come back with a spree of goals there. I'm just taking a look at the score sheet again. They had a huge second period, putting 4 in. And of course, since we were talking about him, Matty Beniers was the first to get on the score sheet there, and the Kraken scored 5 unanswered to take down the Oilers, which is just what the Flames needed, and they needed it even more so because they had a classic 22-23 Calgary Flames game. They hit multiple posts and couldn't find a way to get past Winnipeg, who winner scored by Gauthier. So the Flames are still in a playoff spot, in part thanks to their rival to the west, the Seattle Kraken. It's an interesting one in the Pacific this year. I know we talked a lot about it, but that division in particular is really intriguing.
Yes, it is. And one of those situations, too, where Colorado, and again, I'll say this from a week and a half ago when we last hooked up for a game between the Kings and the Flames, in the sense of they've lost a few games here now, and they still have games in hand, but they're sitting outside the wild card spot. And as you said, Flames are right there in that side of it, and Seattle is sitting there, too. I know people were making some questions about Seattle and if they're going to hold in and all that. Well, it is nice when you're Seattle and you have an extra 4 games in hand. So there is really no concern for me there. It was big for Seattle to win that game against Edmonton because a few days ago when they played them, they lost 7-2, and they came back in and returned the favor and getting a big win.
Yeah, listen, I'm just curious to get your brief thoughts on this one. We don't have to really go. I just want to hear from you in broad strokes, John. Did you expect the LA Kings to look this solid at this point in the season?
So my only concern, and we talked about this going into the season, I mentioned this during the playoffs when we covered it. I really like the LA Kings, and I said this to you, I know it was months ago now, but you remember it. With Drew Doughty, if he was available, I thought that they were going to beat the Edmonton Oilers in that series. They ended up losing in 7 games. I liked them then. I thought that they were going to be one of the top 3 seeds in the Pacific. That's how good they are, and they're still rebuilding. My only concern now is when you're thinking about that team, you have Jonathan Quick, who was getting older. You had Kel Peterson, who got waived, and now you have Phoenix Copley. He was the first goaltender, I saw this yesterday, for the LA Kings to win 7 straight games. The last one to do that was Jonathan Quick. So he's able to keep his, I would not say the team above water because they're doing better than that, but their goaltending is not a strength. He's doing well enough, and that team is continuing to cruise.
Yeah, and the one last thing I'll say about the Kings, too, is that I think for a number of years that the Kings have been looking for an heir apparent for Jonathan Quick. Now, to his credit, he had a bit of a career resurgence and is still obviously a major contributor and a reason that the Kings are in the position they're in. But yeah, Phoenix Copley looks like he's settled into to big-time hockey here, and if he can continue to play competently, which he has, I would expect the Kings to continue to cement their playoff position. And look out, you're right. I think that they did have a chance had they been a little more healthy in last year's playoffs, and they might make some noise this year.
I still think so. And I think even from the sense of what you had for Vegas, they got a big win last night. So both the teams in the first and second spot, they got their extra 2 points. But that Pacific Division, unlike the Metro in the game that I ended up doing yesterday, somebody in the East is not going to make a playoff spot that's really good. They're going to miss because they're just not going to be able to get enough points. And the Pacific, it might come down to game 82.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was a tight one last year. We've talked about it a number of times, but it's going to be close all the way, and I'm going to be interested to see if that tight race is down to the Flames and the Oilers. Obviously, there's no love lost there, and the Battle of Alberta is always exciting. But it very well could come down to who's going to get in. If Colorado makes the push that we expect them to, and this is just in the West in general, if the Blues can continue to find their form, I mean, they had a nice overtime, kind of high-scoring overtime victory last night against Austin Matthews and the Leafs, nonetheless. The Preds also right there. But, yeah, it could come down to those 2 teams in the wildcard spots in the West right now, John, the Flames and the Oilers.
Yeah, and I think, Cooper, I can say it in generalities, but it's the truth. All you really want is for your team to be in it right now. And I think in that division, regardless of where things stand and where you think it's going to end up happening when you get in the playoffs, anything can happen at that point. Like they say in any sport, you just got to get in. I feel like it's going to be there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just, again, taking a scan of these rosters of the United States and Canada here as we get closer and closer to our second period with the United States leading Canada 2-1 in this semifinal game in the World Junior Tournament. But yeah, John, I'm really interested to see if some of these names who are, of course, already affiliated with teams, but in particular, I want to see what happens with Shane Wright. I know we're coming back to the Kraken here, but I think that a lot of folks expected him to not and listen, he did technically crack the lineup. He has, I think 8 or 9 games up with the big club this year. But as we see someone like Matty Beniers really make a difference night in and night out, it seemed like Shane Wright wasn't fully ready for the big stage yet. And so perhaps as we get through this year's playoffs into next season, don't want to jump too far ahead, but of course the teams that we're watching here tonight between Canada and the United States, there are going to be a lot of names that are making differences for big clubs.
Yes, we are. And as we're like underneath the puck drop right now, I want to make your point in the sense of Seattle got off to such a good start and had that run. It's kind of hard to get Shane Wright acclimated. So I understand how it's working out over there. So it's 19:30 left to go here in this second period. The United States have a 2-1 lead. The United States will be going left to right across this period. Narito down, right to left for Canada. United States in the all blue, Canada in the white shirt with the black pants. Keeping this alive along the right side inboards. Great moves by Del Mastro, but the shot goes up into the netting, and we'll get a stoppage with 19:19 as we're just really getting started here in the second stanza.
Yeah, John, I think what's going to be interesting, too, in the second is if we get a nice flow to the game. I think that could benefit the United States, but we know Canada can strike fast like they did in the first.
Yes, they can. So, again, I'll just make the same statement in the sense of the United States. They didn't have that push in the last 10 minutes. Canada had that push. They got within 1. You got to be able to weather that storm and get that start however you are in that first period to make that push again. Canada's probably not going to let you do that, but you got to find it here. So offensive zone drawing for Canada, right deep into the right slot, scores! Canada ties it up. Logan Stankoven for the Dallas Stars makes it 2-2.
Boy, another great goal call by you, John, and that is the absolute last thing that the Americans wanted here. They actually had a great scoring opportunity. Like I said, I'm a little behind on the feed here. I got a great replay of a nice back pass and a great shot attempt that was saved by Canada, and they come down after the face-off. They tie this game with their first real offensive opportunity of the second.
It's a shot right in toward the right side dot. So I'll just be honest with you. It's a face-off win right on the right dot. Get right underneath the last part of the line and just a humongous rebound. Nobody able to pick it up on the United States side. No chance for Trey Augustine to make a save. As Cooper said, and as I'm thinking too, that is the last thing that the United States won. And now it's a 2-0 lead to a 2-2 level. And Canada was already probably feeling confident after that first Bedard goal, and now it's a brand new game. So the third of the tournament for Logan Stankoven, assisted by Joshua Waugh and Brandt Clarke, 47 seconds in. So that's exactly what Canada wanted right now. The United States will have to see how they answer here as Del Mastro will hold it. Get this off of a stick lift as this gets intercepted by the United States. It'll touch the stick of Thomas Milic, and it'll play it to an open left side boards. United States trying to get on the forecheck, but they got to make sure they don't put too many people out in front and leave Jack Pert by himself as it's 2-on-1. He's just going to have to put it around the inboards quickly as Canada will try to get to a Joshua Waugh. We'll put it in deep. As Ryan Ufko will go back and collect again. He had 5 assists in the game against Germany, but Canada is not Germany, and neither is Czechia. Czechia is waiting for whoever wins this game. Whoever loses will play Sweden at 2:30 tomorrow. The gold medal game will be at 6:30, and I will have the call for you that regardless of whoever wins, because Czechia is a good team. I know during the last tournament, I will say this as the puck goes to the neutral zone, I put a lot of praise on Czechia, and I got me some downvotes on the YouTube side from the Canadian fans, but I was saying they were my dark horse team to win this tournament. Joshua Waugh, cross pass, hit the post! Canada was that close from taking the lead. Big bullet dodge as this one gets dumped down the ice. That was a wide open one-timer that was just from Adam Fantilli that hit the left side of the bar. So we talked about some names we wanted to see. Connor Bedard, there was Fantilli, and he narrowly missed that one, Cooper. And when you see that, your jaw will probably be a drop.
Yeah, John, as I wait for that, and that replay is actually just starting right now for me. I think this is almost backwards to what we were both expecting, and credit to you for addressing it when we were opening this game. we expected the United States to be really sound defensively. They've looked better on offense.
Yes.
And Canada now has been picking things up on offense and showing that that extra level of skill that they have. Really impressive start in the second.
Big hit by Othmann in a pair. It's loose on front of the slide. Milic makes the save. I don't know who took the hit for the United States. It might have been Mittelstadt, as he got pasted against the boards. And now we have a stoppage. I believe it's going to be a penalty, but I'll have to wait a few more seconds to see who it's going to be on. I think the United States are going to go ahead and go to a power play. I think Olen Zellweger is going to take it here for Canada. So it's going to be a minor either way. And the United States will get their first power play of the game.
Yeah, in no uncertain terms, John, and you're not going to be surprised to hear me say this. This is exactly what the Americans need right now. Canada has looked the far better team coming out here on the fresh ice in the second. And if they want to really have any chance going forward to get the win in regulation here, I'm going to say that the United States need to score during this man advantage.
I don't think you're going to get any disagreement from me. I think this is actually a must-get goal. I know it's 17-18 left in the second, but this feels like the turnstile has been turned the other way. One-timer set up off of the right pad from Cutter Gauthier as it was stopped by Milic, and now picked up Trey Augustine with a long outstretched pass. It's going to be a good breakout from the goaltender here, as the United States will get their entry. It's a 1-on-4, but they try to toe drag against everybody. And that's exactly what Cooper and I said you don't want. You want to get set up here on this power play and take your time and get your shots. It is 22-15 on the shot board for the United States. Canada scored the last couple, and they've looked good. Steal off the right side wall. It's going to be an open middle pass, but it's going to get taken by the United States. And now Canada really throwing the body right now. I can definitely say that they feel good. Joshua Waugh steals the puck from Tyler Boucher. And now they will again, as they are hemming the United States in their own end. Take a breath and get your breakout. Left to right will be the United States, but it's a minute left to go on their power play. They can't get set up right now. They're just trying to get some line changes. 16-10 left to go in this second. It's a 2-2 game. Another turnover into the neutral zone. And now this is a break across the red line. Snuggerud with the backhand. It's stopped by Milic. It's loose in the high slot. Lets it go through the screen. And Dylan Duke can't find it. The United States couldn't do much of anything. And then they ended up getting a break. I don't even know what to say on that side. Ryan Ufko, he tries to toe drag into his own defensive end, but this gets picked up now by the United States. And across the red line now, gain the entry. Chaz Lucius walk in and shoot toward the right circle off the left pad of Milic. Now it's in the high slot. United States finally settled as this goes back for the bomb off the 1T, blocked by Canada, but kept in by USA. Now one-timer toward the right dot, as this one gets still kept in. It's a player out of the box here for Canada, but the United States has puck possession off the backhand, set up off the rebound for Hughes, and it's stopped by Milic with the glove. It's a 3-on-1 for Canada. Cross pass, and that one gets blocked by the lone defender of Barons. Try to get gloved out of the air. The United States, it's a 1-on-2 and a drop pass to nobody in particular, but it's kept in. Logan Cooley gets it on the right wing side for Lucius, and that gets stopped by Milic. End-to-end action right now. Left side dot, U.S. fires it right on, and between the 5-hole of Milic. And now stick the side across the end boards. And we finally get an offsides, and I can finally take a breath. 14:35 in the second.
Wow, John, you deserve a break right there. What incredible back and forth action. Tell me if you agree with this, as I'm just now getting some of the action on my feed. I think that Canada should be leading this game right now, 3-2, especially with that 3-on-1. I think making some different decisions with their passing strategy right there may have resulted in a goal.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. I mean, it was as wide open as you can get. You had left and right wing wide open, and you had the center drop pass wide open, and it just did not hit. Canada would have easily taken the lead. And the United States, on their power play up until that breakaway that Canada somehow let go, they didn't have anything going there, and that's what you needed to be able to see. So a neutral zone face-off win. This gets dumped across the red line now, but it'll be immediately iced. So it's going to be an offensive zone draw here for the Americans, and some booing from the Halifax crowd as it's a 2-2 game.
Yeah, John, you just alluded to it there a moment ago. I won't be too long-winded on this one, but I think that the completely discombobulated power play for the Americans does not paint a pretty picture for them, at least in this second period. That was their opportunity to really grasp some of the momentum again. And as we said, I think scoring there would have been an absolute necessity. Of course, they're still tied here, but the way that Canada is playing and how close they came to taking the lead, the U.S. needed to do better with the man advantage.
Yeah, like I said, I was already kind of feeling the sweaty hands and palms. It's a 2-on-1, and they score! Canada 3 straight goals, and no mistake off the backhand. They have the lead now with 14-14.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm so glad I finally shut up, John, because I almost stepped on your goal call. But Canada, we saw it coming. You literally saw it coming. I will see it coming in a minute. But my goodness, 3-2 to the Canadians. And all of a sudden, after about 10 or 12 minutes of the United States having their way with the home team, the boys in white and red have taken the 1-goal advantage here in the second. Just so impressive for Canada.
So Adam Fantilli gets the puck from his own end on the defensive zone draw, gets a pass toward the right side boards in the offensive zone from Zach Dean, will get it all the way back with a lofty backhanded sauce and put it in on the 2-on-1. When we said we wanted the big names for Canada to break out, Connor Bedard, Adam Fantilli, we mentioned them specifically, 2 goals in between them right now. It is 3 straight goals for Canada. 5:46 marker from Adam Fantilli, from Dean, and Olen Zellweger. So the United States, we talk about needing an answer. They desperately need one now, because I believe, Cooper, if they give up this next one, I don't care broadcaster side or not, this could be a death sentence for the Stars and Stripes.
Yeah, and I will simply say, yes, I agree with you, and you're right. If Canada makes this now a 4-2 game at some point here, especially in the next handful of minutes, it really could get away from the United States. They've got to keep it close and get this game tied.
So when you look at it from the perspective, if anyone's just joining us, it's a 3-2 scoreline. You say, how can I be so dramatic? Well, it's 3 straight goals for the Canadians here, and ever since, I can say this honestly, 10 minutes into the first period, with 10 minutes left to go, and now 13:47 in the second, it's been all Canada at this point. There really is nothing else to say. Milic looks behind him on a shot as this goes now near the right side dot, picked up by the Canadians as they'll try to break out again right to left. They got to be feeling good right now. It's 3 straight goals, but there's a turnover. 2-on-1 for Snuggerud. And a flashy glove save by Milic. I apologize for the pause. I had to make sure that Milic had it in his hands. He got over to the right post. He got down just enough. The shot was accurate from Snuggerud, but Milic makes the save as we go to an ice break.
Yeah, John, this is my first real opportunity to watch Milic in action. And I have to say, other than a couple of large rebounds on some tough angle shots, he's looked pretty decent tonight, and that's a big save right there. He's been not completely hung out to dry, but definitely keeping this game close. It could be a lot worse.
So the interesting part for Milic was Benjamin Gaudreau started the first couple games for Canada, and the reason why he was put on high alert was the 5-2 loss to Czechia to open up the preliminaries. Ever since, over the last couple, it's been Milic's net. Canada, I think, is one of the few teams that only carries 2 goalies. Most teams carry 3. So the pressure is on Milic to be able to be enough of that puck stopper to allow the offense to do what they do and make sure the defense can get it up to the offense. Look, I'm not going to make it sound any more simple than that, because it's the truth. Canada wants to win this offensively. You saw it in the tournament in the preliminary against Czechia when Connor Bedard tried to score on 2 different Michigan goals. This does look like a little bit of a different Canada team from that first preliminary, and I definitely expect, like everybody else, for them to be the heavy favorites for the gold. I think they've gotten better as the tournament has gone along. I think the United States has also done the same, but the United States was not able to be tested yet because they're on different sides of the bracket. They've not played Czechia, they've not played Canada, and now you might have to do this potentially back-to-back if you can get this win by Canada. And by the way, you had a 2-0 lead, and now it's 3-2 for Canada as we go back into the action here. So Ethan Del Mastro will try to clear this one into the offensive zone as this goes back off the stick of Milic. He'll play it quickly, but the United States will get to it on the right side wall, just trying to find some time as Logan Cooley, now with Chaz Lucius and Snuggerud, try to center it out for Hughes, but he couldn't pick it up off the backhand. He kind of turned the wrong way as this goes to Ryan Ufko. And now Cooley. We'll get to it. United States have been pretty silent, and not just since scoring those 2 goals. I haven't seen Cooley or any of the first line right now getting things going. They're badly needed right now. They got to get this next goal. This gets set up into the high slot off the backhand. Hughes trying to make something happen. Milic finds it, and the United States say they score. Jackson Blake. It's 3-3. And I need to get another look to see how that one went in. It was just standard chaos in front of the net as the Canadian fans at Halifax have their hands on their head. And I'm going to get another look at it right now. So Rutger McGroarty keeps it alive for Jackson Blake in the middle of the slot. He gets his own rebound back to the forehand and ties this game for the United States. What an answer that they desperately needed.
Desperate is the correct word to use, John Ott. And I will say, credit where it's due to the United States of America, leading on the shot board from the puck drop in the first period. That doesn't always mean it's quality chances. They're not all going to be snipes, John. That one certainly was not. But the U.S. does what they need to do, and they tie this game at the moment they needed it the most. 3-3.
So in the sense of I know where we are in the places of the feed, I would say a lot of these goals in this tournament, as we are going to the headsets to make sure they might be looking for goaltender interference on Milic. I imagined that was going to be the case because there was all sorts of traffic. The point that I was going to make, Cooper, is a lot of the goals so far in this game have been greasy ones. They have not been snipes. They've been puck battles. They've been getting in front of the blue paint, trying to make the defense life difficult. I think that's exactly what you want to see between these teams.
Yeah, and this is, we saw what we did not expect, John, right, where we saw the United States come out with some offensive prowess as opposed to what we thought we would be witnessing with kind of that defensive responsibility. But here we go. This is the United States setting up down low and banging away when they have to tie the game and doing just enough. And I think that this is going to stand because now I'm starting to see it on my side. But let me know what you have on your side.
So I just got the replay there for Blake again. To be honest with you, and again, it's not wearing red, white, and blue glasses, although I do have 4 eyes. I don't see too much interference to be able to overturn this one. I understand that there's chaos going in the middle of the blue paint, but I don't think Jackson Blake did anything too crazy to stop Milic from being able to attempt to make the save. That's what I see upon my first look, as we're still in the middle of the coach's challenge for 12:38. So to reiterate, if this coach's challenge fails and the United States scores, then they also get a power play, just like NHL rules.
Right, John. So, why don't you walk us through that one more time? So this is not a booth review from some neutral party or the IIHF. This is a challenge by the Canadian coach, correct?
Hold on 1 second.
You got it.
No goal. It was a direct challenge from Dennis Williams, the coach, and you're correct, not the IIHF, a direct challenge from them, just like the NHL side of it, and it carries the same weight. If the coach misses the challenge, the goal will stand, and there would be a penalty, but it's a successful challenge by Coach Dennis Williams of Canada, and it takes the United States goal that tied it and puts it back at 3-2. So big-time challenge there, won by Canada. And I want to say this openly, that's a good challenge there for Canada, and I understand you can't get in the way of Milic's paint. You got to let him make the save, but I don't know where else Jackson Blake could have went to on that rebound on his forehand. I can only throw it to you like that, but good job by Canada, as this is now picked up across the neutral zone side. And go ahead. We got some time if you want to make
Oh, yeah, John, I was just going to say, now that we've both seen it a number of times here, I can understand from both sides, right? I can see why Canada would make the challenge. Obviously, it was successful, but there was contact with Milic, and I agree with you also on the other side of the coin. There was no intent, nor do I think that any of the contact prevented Milic from trying to physically get in the way of the shot. He was already sprawled forward in the blue paint and was able to move his left pad freely, which is what he would have needed to do in order to make the save. And the puck went in past his left skate. So not sure why that one was overturned, but that's a huge moment in this game.
So Gavin Brindley now will get this one for the United States and get this down as Milic. Now a goal to the good here for Canada again. They've still scored 3 straight. The goal was overturned there. So picked up here by Canada. And again, it's not one that I can be a little bit upset on, to be honest with you. I think it's a fair on both sides. But it's one of those situations that you have to be very clear about your challenge. Because again, if you lose it, the goal stands and U.S. gets a power play. That's a completely different game at that point. So now, 10:55 left to go in this second. United States trying to find, once again, another answer. They thought they had one just a couple minutes ago. And Pert will get this one down deep. Milic will watch it go by in his own end as this is picked up here by the defense of Olen Zellweger of Canada. First line's out there for Dennis Williams' squad. As this is trying to get picked up here by Charlie Stramel, the fourth line side for the United States, getting some burn here. Milic will play this quickly toward the right side boards. It's held in there momentarily by Middlestat. And now sent down the ice. 10:19, it's an icing against the Canadians.
Wow, John, just jumping back in here, I'm so curious to see, and we may not know how far the ripples of that overturned goal are going to roll for the United States, but they really needed that tying goal at that moment. Obviously, still quite a bit of time here in the second, but I think with every second that ticks by, the Canadians hold on to this 3-2 advantage. They only get closer and closer and more likely to double their lead to make it 4-2. They just looked that strong. And that was the goal that was overturned. And you can tell me if you agree, John, I think that was the best scoring chance other than the very, very first offensive zone entry for the United States in the second period. And they haven't had a ton of other clean opportunities. So let's see where they're going to come from.
No, I agree with you, and that's exactly what it's been. And Canada, as we said, and I talked about it, and just like you did, we've seen the exact reverse of what we think about a better defensive United States team. They've looked like a good offensive team more than you would expect, and Canada has buckled down defensively. And I'll take it a step further. When you talk about Connor Bedard, we understand his greatness and all that. People were talking about on the TSN side about Olen Zellweger being a top-line defense, about how important he's going to be able to allow this Canadian offense to do what they do by having solid back-end help. And they're playing good defensively right now. I know the United States has had that lofty shot board. A lot of that has been from the start in the first period, not so much in the second. So Ufko has it now for the United States, but it's turned over. Canada, one-timer out in front, but this is blocked by the blue jerseys as Zellweger tries to get to it now. United States is just going to try to break out of their own zone, probably fire this one on, and that's what they'll want to do. I think that was a good decision, even though one off right side inboards haven't had a shot in a while, as this is stick battle, won by the United States. Still, Mastro gets doubled off of the check, and it's a turnover, trying to be held there. And now Canada gets the turnover. It's a 2-on-2 cross pass, huge save by Trey Augustine. That could save the game at this point with 9:10 left to go in the second, and I'm really not trying to be hyperbolic. Canada's been that good, as it's been across the right boards now. And now Barons will get this backwards in Gavin Brindley. But the United States, they get it off of the shot block, and now they'll try to find the entry off the dump in. They're going to go ahead and instead take some changes on the forward side. Canada's going to do the same, as we've hit 8:45 left to go in the second period. John here with you from Cooper Hopkins, commentating on semifinal number 2 of the WJCs. The winner goes to the gold medal game against Czechia. The loser plays at 2:30 Eastern against Sweden for the bronze medal. Del Mastro, he got knocked away on the backhand side. And the United States passed a little bit too far there for Rutger McGroarty. He could have had a break there for the U.S. But now it's 1-on-2. It's 2 for the United States, but a shot from Logan Stankoven. Or that was Ostapchuk, excuse me. Almost beat Augustine 5-hole, but he traps it and makes the save.
John, you were not being hyperbolic. I got a good look at that Augustine save. We've been talking about Milic more often, and that's in part because the United States really has just been peppering shots toward the Canada net. But you're right. Augustine, I think, just saved the game for the Americans. If that goes in, it's 4-2 Canada. And as we would have expected, I would fully assume that Canada would continue to walk away with this game. If that's not the case, there's still some time here to play, and the U.S. is hanging in. Even if it's by a thread, they're still hanging in this game at 3-2.
So here's the thing for me. In comparison to August tournament, United States was knocked out by Czechia, and they could not get a bronze. No matter what happens, the United States could get a bronze. But I understand it's a better result than 6 months ago, regardless of whatever happens today. But if you're the United States here, Cooper Hopkins, you don't want to settle for a bronze. How are they going to make this answer into the second period going to the third and kind of turn momentum? Because it's been all Canada.
Yeah, listen, I mean, we've talked about this with a number of teams in the NHL. We're talking about this right now. I wish I had a clear answer for the United States, but here's what I'm thinking, is that I want to see a little bit more. And again, we're just talking general kind of hockey strategy here, but I think it applies. And I think when you're facing an opponent as solid and advanced in their skill as Canada, arguably, maybe inarguably, the best team in the world when it comes to the World Juniors, I think the United States needs to try to establish some clear ozone time. Really, I mean, and we're talking the things we say in so many games we cover, John, right?
Right.
D-to-D passes on the blue line, working high to low, low to high, creating space through the high slot, connecting passes, tiring out your opponent, which is something we don't talk about often enough, just requiring their mental and physical focus to keep you out of the net, even if on a shift where you are able to accomplish some of those things, even if you don't score, I think that you build so much and put your opponent on the back foot. That's what I haven't seen a ton from the United States in this second period. Yeah, they've gotten shots on net. And I'm not saying that obviously they almost tied this game and had the goal waved off. But that did not come from a real clean zone entry and established ozone time.
And guess what we have on the other side, folks? What you didn't want for the United States. It's a backhanded opportunity and a beauty, as the sign says, for Joshua Waugh. 4 straight goals for Canada, and Rand Pecknold immediately is waving over either the referees or his team just to make sure they might want to consider a challenge. I want to take a look to see if there is a possible offsides or something else. I don't know exactly what I see. Ooh, Connor Bedard may be offsides on this entry. Joshua Waugh tried to save it in the neutral zone. It was a diving play. Bedard set up the backhand pass there for Waugh to finish it off. But the question is whether or not possibly Connor Bedard is offsides. But no, he is not. It's a 4-2 lead for Canada. Joshua Waugh has his 4th at 12:20 from Stankoven and Bedard. So another assist for Bedard. Here comes Canada again down the left wing side, and they got cut off by Cutter Gauthier, as this is picked up by the United States. Again, at this point, we said that the United States had to get the next goal. Canada got the next couple, and the one got waved off here for the United States from Jackson Blake. And now Canada kind of smelling blood in the water right now. They have the puck down in deep of Augustine toward the right side dot, as this is picked up by the United States. Cooley tries to press it ahead, but it gets canceled off by the Canadian defense and dumped across the red line now. 6:45 left to go in the second period. It's 4 straight goals for Canada, and their edge on the shot board is also getting closer as well, 29-22 in favor of the Americans. And again, as I mentioned, that lofty number has been most in the first. Fantilli with the pass. Try to set it up here. As Del Mastro's holding on to the left side of that blue line. Zellweger will pick it up and punch it in deep here for Canada. As Shane Wright will get a piece of it. And the United States can intercept. Jackson Blake, he thought he was the lone goal scorer in the second, gets taken for a ride by Olen Zellweger. And now Bedard the other way with a toe drag. This gets picked up by Canada again. That was a glove save by Trey Augustine. And Team USA just needs to be able to get some possession and now they skate in off sides. I understand dumping the puck in across that red line. I understand you also have to do that when puck battles. They've not been able to do that either. They haven't even really touched the puck in this second period.
Yeah, and John, but boy, my apologies, my friends. I'm so sorry for stepping on the goal there
You're good.
by Canada, which is such an important one. That's just a byproduct of the delay on my side. So I'll try to be a little less wordy. So right now I'll cut myself off and just say that, yeah, the United States is still technically in this thing, but now I think what we are expecting to happen will happen. Let's see if Canada starts to pull away here.
No, you're good. Don't worry about any of the stuff on the feeds. I'll let you know if I need to interject on some of that stuff. It's a backhand. The vice grip is starting to be settled there for the Canadians, but that was a good save off the forehand. Red Savage, yes, that's his name. The Red Wings product there had a forehand shot right on Milic, and he was able to glove and make the save as we get a commercial break of 5:49.
Yeah, so John, I mean, listen, you've seen the United States more in this tournament than I have. Are you seeing signs of life from the United States? I mean, obviously they're still putting a lot of effort into this game, but I'm not seeing them being able to establish themselves and really push back against the ice being tilted in Canada's favor at this point. Is there anything that you can see, whether it's in an individual's play or from the team itself, that would lead you to believe they're going to come back and tie this game after giving up 4 unanswered?
I think my short answer right now is no. I say that Canada, I think they're going to go ahead and take this gold medal. I think the one thing that I've noticed that Canada's done, and they had to do, the United States loves to get their puck possession from their D-man, Luke Hughes. He's one of the best offensive prospects for defense that you have. And he can be that not just power play quarterback. He can start everything on even strength, be able to skate himself, ride the blue line, open up teammates. Canada, I think, has really noticed that, and whatever pairs they have, whether it's still Mastro, Zellweger, Hinds, Clarke, they've shut down Luke Hughes, and he's part of that engine that makes things go, and that's why I think the United States is really struggling right now at this point.
Yeah, I mean, everything that you're saying, I think, has been confirmed by what I've seen here, and I know we have a bit more of a break to go, but Canada, it seems like they've put their foot on the United States' throat a little bit.
Yeah.
Obviously, with so much time, it's tough. It feels like being almost dramatic to put it in those terms. But I'm not seeing anything from the United States that would bring me to a place to be confident saying I expect them to tie this game. I mean, even if they're able to get on the score sheet again, by that time it may be 5-2, 6-2 Canada. Because they just have found the scoring touch here, and that's made all the difference. They're starting to put a pretty big canyon in between themselves and the Americans.
Yes, they are, the way they're playing. Again, the United States has got to be able to get some puck possession. There's another hit, and toward the right side boards, players are coming together all over the place. Zack Ostapchuk wants to throw a couple fists toward one of the United States players, and now we get a meeting and toward the blue line neutral zone. And I would be surprised if this wasn't just a 4-on-4 upcoming. So to relay, it was Red Savage off of the puck entry. It was a drop pass. Luke Hughes threw a little bit of a, I would say, forearm shove into Brandt Clarke. Maybe Luke Hughes will be going to the box. Maybe there'll be an offsetting 4-on-4 as Ostapchuk had a little bit of answer back on Dylan Duke. So we'll have to get things squared away as United States trying to get things to be physical. Right now, Sam Lipkin's going to the box for the U.S. and no one else. 14:35 left to go in that side, 5:25 on the clock, excuse me. So Canada has the power play. And again, that's a byproduct of a little bit of frustration. You can't show that right now for the United States. You have a gold medal on the line right now against your arch enemy, your north border there on that side of it. And you need to be able to find your game. And if you give Canada another power play and they score this next one, everything is going to be out of the sails there for the United States. So Zellweger, go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say, yep, all that does right there is show the Canadians that they are in the heads of the United States right now.
So Zellweger now with Othmann. Othmann is the extra forward. Bedard going to let one fly. Going to pick it back up. And this finally gets picked up by the United States as they get the clear. And at what point, I know it's only the second period, so they're not a press now, but the United States might have to even press on a shorthanded point at some point. I know that would be probably the mid part of the third, but they've got to get in the offensive zone. They just have not been able to do so. So Brennan Othmann, there's a skid saved by Zellweger, now playing off of bodies. 55 seconds left to go on the Canadian power play. It's their second of the game. There's only been 3 penalties, I believe, called. As a glove hand gets knocked off the head, it's loose in the high slot, and this one goes wide of Trey Augustine. But it's kept in by Othmann. Bedard wants the wrister. It gets blocked off with traffic in front. He's going to get it back near the right circle, set up for the 1T. Big save there by Trey Augustine off Gauthier for Canada. As it's 35 seconds left to go on their power play, and we get a stoppage.
Yeah, really solid work by Canada continues. I think they're looking to effectively put this game away here on the power play and get their 5th goal unanswered. And John, just keep me posted here when you get a chance. How much time is remaining in this second? Want to see kind of recalibrate my feed against yours.
4 minutes.
Gotcha. All right. So I'm about 30 seconds behind here. I'm catching up. By the time we finish this game, I'll be right there.
I'm just glad to have you here, man. So 4 minutes, 35 seconds left to go on the Canadian power play. Rand Pecknold's talking about something, but I don't know what it is with the referees. And Coach Dennis Williams as well is going to be trying to figure out some kind of clock issue. But that's my guess right now. Nothing definitive. 30 shots to 25. United States down 4-2. They have a 5-shot edge on the shot board, but again, that was largely part of the first period, and I keep repeating that because it's the truth. It's been nothing in the second. So Othmann will get this one across here for Joshua Waugh, who just lightly scored off the backhand. Try to get set up again. Bedard, cross pass. Now behind the net, Joshua Waugh, short side 1T. Stopped by the stick shaft of Augustine. Now it's bounced in front of the cage, and Canada can't keep it. This could be a race for the puck. Chaz Lucius off the backhand, but he couldn't get all of it. As Milic got enough. This stays with the United States. They'll try to fire one shorthanded. Now the penalty is killed. Sam Lipkin gets back on the ice. He's got to hustle back, and the United States might have something. It's a 1-on-2 off the backhand. Lucius will fire instead, and this will get picked up across the blue line side. Now toward the right dot as the United States trying to stay with this puck now. It's Luke Hughes. Captaincy here for the United States, trying to keep it alive. Almost turned over right in front and fanned on by one of the Canadian players. This allows the United States to have puck possession. Gauthier going to fire here for U.S., and this one gets blocked. Now it's near the right side, red line. Try to get picked up now by Jimmy Snuggerud. He was the hero in one of the games against Germany. He had 3 goals. Red Savage will fire on the right side dot. It gets blocked. And a penalty upcoming against Canada for hooking. That's exactly what the United States need right now with 2:41 left to go in the second.
Yep, John, sorry, just a quick little issue with the microphone there, but back on it and just going to say what I think everyone paying attention, including you and I, know, that we said this with the previous man advantage for the United States. I think the Americans must score here. The second period is nearly at a close. I think they have to score on this power play to for us to really consider that they are going to have a chance in the third period to come back and potentially win.
Yes, and not just that. I'm going to go ahead and I know it's a small nugget, but I think it has to be said. They got to look better. They got to be able to get some consistent shots and puck possession. They had nothing to work with on the previous power play. So try to get one there by Chaz Lucius, and this is a puck battle. Canada able to get this and blocked it. They were able to glove it down themselves. Now toward the right side blue line. This is a shorthanded opportunity here for Canada that gets nudged away by the United States, and now they can try to break out with a $1:35 thereabouts left to go on the power play. It's a chip and chase, won by the United States. It was centered out in front for Lucius, but he was nowhere near the blue paint, so that's just an inauspicious giveaway. And Trey Augustine will play it here for Ryan Ufko. Ufko now will look to go right to left here for the United States. Going to leave it back to the forward side for Rutger McGroarty. Going to go ahead and find the entry, drop it here for Ufko. McGroarty gets it back, trying to hold it on the forehand side near the left side face-off dot. Lucius wants the puck near the right side red line, but I don't think it's going to get there. There's a battle near the left wall. There's 3 Canadians to 1 American. Jimmy Snuggerud is just being held down there. This gets right to Lucius toward the right side dot. Now Jackson Blake. He thought he was the last one that scored. Fired into the screen as this gets fought off by Milic. Picked up now by Hinds of Canada. And now they'll finally get this one down. So the United States finally had some ozone time. But now here's a break pass. Hinds with a shot. And he missed the net. He was all alone. And now the other way. Snuggerud lost it in between his skates. Hinds will collect. As it gets lifted, it's 2-on-2. United States will brush this one forward. Busting down the middle of the slot. Big save by Milic as he puts it in the breadbasket. 1:06 left to go in the second.
Yeah, John, it's just a recipe for disaster there. I mean, of course, Canada didn't score, but it could have easily been 5-2 there, and that would have been on the would have been with a man off the ice for the Canadians. I mean, that was a potential shorty right there.
Joshua Waugh again. So he was the one that scored off the backhand. He was right off the change that caught the United States. He was all alone. He tried to shoot 5-hole, missed the net. So it's still 25 seconds left to go in the U.S. man advantage, but the man advantage is just a name only. They've not been able to get anything going this entire second period. This will find the stick of Trey Augustine, and the United States will try to play this off the embankment. 50 seconds left to go in this second period. The United States down by 2 goals, but Cooper, it feels like a lot more as the man advantage will end. This will touch behind the end boards. Milic will take no chances and hold on with 41 seconds left in the middle frame.
Yeah, John, you said it best. It feels like a pretty major development here. And the United States had a couple of shots. They've continued from the outset of this game. They've continued to get shots on net. But Milic has answered. Of course, it could have been 3 for the United States. That goal being called back is still a major turning point of this game. And I'm surprised that the United States hasn't tried to settle. I mean, obviously they've tried to settle in a bit more, but Canada has had the answers and just kept them at bay. Yeah,
and for me, I can look at Canada objectively in this tournament just like yourself and say, look, this is the best defensively they've looked throughout the whole tournament. When they really needed to turn it on, they've turned it on. They haven't shown you that throughout this entire WJCs. We knew that they could score, but could they lock down defensively? And they've done what they needed to right now. Look, I know what the shot board says, but this is a dominating period for Canada, not just because of the score line. 15 seconds left to go in the second as a shot from the right side dot goes to the left side of the red line. Canada trying to get one more attack here as this is in for the neutral zone. Puck battle, but it's going to be won by Del Mastro. This will dump this in. This will touch the stick of Augustine, and that's going to end the second period as everybody in Halifax is clapping and rising to their feet. They know what's at stake. One more period like this, and Canada will be in the gold medal game.
20 minutes away, John. 20 minutes away, and the Canadians, I think, have every reason to believe that they are running away with this thing. And the way they've played, that shows me that they are not going to make the mistake that, listen, we don't need to always go back to the teams that we cover normally when we work on broadcasts together, but this has been one of the Achilles heels, the primary Achilles heel of the Calgary Flames, for example, this year, where they do get a narrow lead, and then for whatever reason, either it's chemistry or just focus, are unable to put a game away. They allow their opponents to come back and take a victory. I don't think that's going to be the case for Canada this time around. They look so solid, and they've only been getting better as this game's been going along.
I agree with you. So I'm just going to do a quick little score reset, and then I'm going to use the bathroom. But I'll go with the score reset because I got the livesport.com box in front of me. So the United States, they got off to a good start. It was Logan Cooley at the 1:19 marker from Ryan Ufko and Jimmy Snuggerud. And then 10:30, it was Kenny Connors from Charlie Stramel and Gavin Brindley. It was a 2-0 lead for the United States. Connor Bedard made it 2-1 at 11:49, a minute and about 15 seconds later. Connor Bedard scores from Ethan Del Mastro and Joshua Waugh. Then it's been 3 straight goals for Canada as they own that second period. Logan Stankoven from Waugh and Clarke. It was Adam Fantilli from Zach Dean and Olen Zellweger. And then Joshua Waugh from Logan Stankoven and Connor Bedard. The goal from Jackson Blake was deemed to be goaltender interference against Thomas Milic. And that's where we are. It's 4-2 after 2 periods of play. Canada's got the lead in. For all intents and purposes, I know we got another 20 minutes here, Cooper, but this feels like this game could be over if the United States can't find some sort of push. That energy that they had in the first period, that is completely gone.
Yeah, John, they are. I mean, not for lack of trying. You can see the effort, but the effort is not translating into anything notable, right? It's just not translating into anything other than kind of. I don't want to sound rude, but just almost random shots on goal.
Yeah,
I don't
agree.
feel like there have been any real serious threats by the United States probably since that goal that was overturned. I mean, even on their power play, it didn't really come together for the U.S. And they didn't. I don't think they put the Canadians on their heels to any degree. And do we have reason to believe that's going to change in the third? Probably not. But still, 20 minutes is a good chunk of time, and the U.S. is a talented team. So that's why we watch. But I certainly hope that they close the gap a little bit here and make the Canadians really work for it.
I'm going to take a couple-minute break, and I will be right back in.
You got it. I'll cover here for you. I'm going to take a quick break as well. We'll be back in about 60 seconds.
Okay.
Semifinal. Welcome to Insider Anything Studios. Got for Caedan Bankier, Torch, Team Canada, 4-2 after 2. There were points of that second period we were watching thinking, this looks like 3-on-3 overtime, with just how end to end and up and down the pace was incredible.
Yeah, I think the pace was fantastic until the opportunity there where they had the goal called back to kind of change momentum of the game. And I think the face-offs are, like we talked about, it's 58-42 for Canada. So puck possession was starting to go the other way.
All right, let's show you the highlights from period number 2 up in Halifax. It was 2-1 Team USA on top after 2, and then this happens. Under a minute into the middle frame, off the face-off here. This puck over Logan Stankoven on the doorstep, and that ties his game up at 2.
Again, you got to set him in the hole there. He wins the draw, gets to the net. Now they get numbers inside numbers. They got 4 Canadian players inside of the 3 U.S. players. So they get a good rebound there. He puts a nice shot up high. It's hard for the goalie to control that rebound, J-Mo. And then the loose puck and Stankoven finishes.
That arena just erupts, as do the players on Team Canada.
Yeah, I think that's a great point by you talking about that, because now, it's a 2-2 game. How does the U.S. handle it now? Here's a great look. Just got a little puck luck with the post there.
Got Fantilli, projected second overall pick, fires this one off the iron. Iron kind.
Yeah, right here. That's a great pass. That's when you know it's going your way. But now it's 2-2 game, and then the U.S. has to handle the pressure.
So here comes Team USA and a chance for Chaz Lucius, but Milic out of the big blocker save.
Milic has been the difference in the second period right now, and one of the reasons why Canada is winning in this game. He's been dominant.
All right, face-offs have been a theme. You highlighted that a couple of minutes ago. Here comes another face-off in the D zone. We're going the other way. Here comes Fantilli. Throws this one across the ice, and Ventura is going to get this one back. Nice pass from Zack Ostapchuk. And Team Canada has a first lead of the semifinal.
Yeah. So, keep going a little bit more, just a little bit more. Keep going. It's a good breakout. Pause it right now. So,
All right, everybody. We have about 11 minutes and 30 seconds before we get into this third period, so it'll be a good time for a break for everybody. We just went over a little bit of a score reset. So when I'm thinking about the rest of this game and maybe the way that I would approach this third period, if I'm the United States, I know it's going to be a hyperbolic blanket here, but that first period when he came out there with the rush of energy and kind of punched Canada right in the mouth, maybe they weren't ready to be expected in this game, and they kind of got caught off guard before they were still getting their legs underneath them. And that second period, what I saw a little bit was too many entries there for the United States where they try to go 4-on-1 to be able to get into the neutral zone. I understand it's going to be hard, and Canada's going to be able to trap a little bit as far as having that 2-goal lead, and they deserve it because they dominated that entire second period. But you've got to be able to break out at the same time with the forwards and defense moving at the same time. What they want, like I said with Luke Hughes, they're able to break in on defense and make things happen. Canada's keyed in on that. So now that they've taken away your game plan for point A, what's your point B, point C, point D of attack? Because if you can't adjust, Canada's going to walk away in this next 20 minutes and be playing for gold. That's just the way that I see it. You've got to be able to support each other all the way across the board between your forwards and defense, work together, get shots on net, hold those end boards, get slap shots when you can get them, get traffic in front of the net, get some greasy goals. They were able to do that in their first couple. Canada was also able to do that as well. They haven't shown that ability in this tournament. So you got to just go back and keep it simple. You're down by 2. You could probably still play your same game structure for, I would say, maybe the next 12 minutes of this third period before you have to start to maybe really press for goals. But you've got to find something. When some team takes away your game plan of game plan point A, you have to have other counters. And when you don't, that's when you get yourself in trouble. So I just leave it like that.
Yeah, John, I'm back with you here, and I think that you do what you do so well, and just summarize what the United States needs, and that is, on the doorstep of a chance at redemption. What you talked about at the beginning of the contest, we're talking about the potential matchup between the Americans and Czechia. You are on the doorstep of that opportunity, and obviously there is your biggest foe, your number one rival, your biggest opponent is in your way, and you have 20 minutes. And listen, a 2-goal, there's a reason that the cliche exists, John. A 2-goal lead in hockey is the most dangerous lead because we've seen those fall apart so many times, and teams that look solid have things turned around on them. And I'm wondering what is going to be said in the locker room, and if anything can be said against a team as skilled as Canada and as tough as Canada, for the United States to get beyond, like you said, I think you said, what was their point A, B, C, and D. They're getting down into the alphabet here.
Yeah.
But do they have the resources? Do they have the fortitude to reach down and make something of this last 20 minutes before getting not swept aside, but turned aside by Canada? And then to the Canadians' credit, 4 unanswered. We always knew they had that capability. That's exactly what they did in the second. And the United States did a decent job of at least stopping the bleeding. That certainly could have opened up for more goals. There was a breakaway opportunity that was left begging for Canada while they were on the penalty kill. So it could be worse, but things are not great for the Stars and Stripes. What will they reach into their bag of tricks to find here? And they're going to have to do it if they want to tie this game and try to get the victory.
I'm going to go back to your point in a second, but I'm going to do this while it's fresh in my mind because I just saw the graphic. They showed Adam Fantilli for Canada, Connor Bedard. Fantilli's got 4 points. He's a projected top 3 pick in the 2023 draft. Connor Bedard's got 24, and he's a plus 13. So let that sink in.
Yeah, the numbers are just ridiculous. I mean, what can we even say at this point? It's just beyond elite, and I'm so excited to see what he will offer at the professional level. But right now, he's led the way for his team. We have Connor Bedard, 9 goals, 14 assists in the tournament, plus 14 rating here, and this is exactly what you were talking about with other players around him who are expected to be huge contributors right away in the NHL. He's just on another level.
Yeah, I mean that makes me think of, like we said, I don't want to say the name Connor McDavid, but what else can I say when I think about that? And also, I'll take this for the Canadian retrospective. I don't want this to be an all doom and gloom for the United States. Let's focus on something really good for Canada because they've shown the ability to play some excellent defense in this game when they've not done so throughout the tournament. They're playing the type of game that you need to play in order to hoist a gold medal tomorrow, should this result hold. I'm not going to say they won't get past Czechia because Czechia has been the best team of this tournament so far. And I can say that because they won their group and they beat Canada in their group. So they're going to get my full respect on that. But as it is, and between everything else for Canada, you have this guy that's leading with so many outlandish point totals in Bedard. And I did not imagine, for as good as everyone says that he is, and I'm not saying that it isn't warranted, but to have that much pressure, maybe he doesn't feel it, maybe he's just having fun. But to lead by that much on points, that's spectacular. I mean, that's otherworldly.
Yeah, I mean, he's, as you pointed out to me earlier in our broadcast, he's literally breaking records. He's making it look easy as he does it, and that is Connor Bedard, of course, setting the record for most goals and points by a Canadian in their juniors career. And Johnny, if you can remind me, he broke the record of one of the players on the Kraken right now, who previously held that mantle. Is that correct?
Jordan Eberle, yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. The name was just escaping me, but Connor Bedard has put himself in rarefied air, but also seems, and this is completely speculation. I mean, but this is what we do. This is what makes sports fun. It's what makes it fun for us to be fans and also to broadcast this way. It seems like he plays in such a way, and part of it is literally just the way that the numbers have bared out. The fact that he isn't just a pure goal scorer. He assists his teammates. He seems to be a great leader. His attitude, the interviews that I have seen several interviews with him, soft-spoken, kind of a classic hockey player, man of few words, but seems to be a big presence in the locker room as well. And those intangibles are so big in a lot of sports, but in hockey especially. And that's exactly what, trying to come full circle, that's exactly what we were talking about with the United States. They have great leaders too. You think of names like Shane Wright, and I'm curious who is stepping up in that locker room. And if the United States is able to turn this around, that would be so fascinating to learn about, what was said and who delivered the message in order to inspire the team.
I hate to keep saying it for the U of M man, Luke Hughes, but I mean, I had a chance to watch him when I was at Yost last season, and he was the captain there for a reason. So he's got to be the guy. I mean, it can't always be Logan Cooley, who's got like 14 points in this tournament for the U.S. So it's got to be everybody. I think it's got to be a collective. You know what you have on one side for Canada, whether it's fair or unfair with Connor Bedard. You don't have that type of player there on the United States. They get it done by committee, and they've done very well throughout this tournament. So I'll be fascinated to figure that out too, and hopefully the third period can show us a little bit of that. I figured it was going to be a 2-goal game. That's where it stands right now. I didn't expect for the United States to jump out with the first two and then give up 4 unanswered, and then see the Red Wings get killed on this highlight. So I'm just going to have to go cry in a corner after this game is done. I got to do the gold medal game tomorrow.
Stay with me, my friend. We're talking about 2-goal leads. Well, that's what the Devils have right now over the Red Wings. Devils, boy, one of the best teams in pro hockey this year. But the Red Wings are not to be swept aside. They're not to be pushed to the margins. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they get 1 or 2 back here and give New Jersey a run for their money. And that's what we're saying. Hey, it's 4-2 Canada-US. It's 2-0 with the Devils and the Wings. So hopefully, the players that you're referencing from your neck of the woods, everyone's got a smile on their face when this is all said and done. It's an uphill battle for both the U.S. and the Wings, but you never know. We might be surprised before this night is done.
And that's a true broadcaster pro, helping his partner on, lifting his spirits. So I appreciate you, Cooper Hopkins.
It's the least I can do. Hey, call me Pollyanna. Maybe I'm looking at it too optimistically, but hey, that's the reason that we're doing this, because it's exciting to see these players with so much skill and these really fascinating games on the ice give us something not only entertaining but completely surprising. And the United States has that capability. I know they have that capability. It's just, can they access it and push back enough against Canada to at least get this game tied? And as I like to say, maybe we'll get some free hockey out of it.
Yep, and absolutely. When you're thinking about in a segue as far as New Jersey and Detroit, you got Jack Hughes getting one of those assists in the power play, and who's going to be joining him? Luke Hughes on that side of it. So very good company there for New Jersey on a team that continues to build. They had a really hot start. They've fallen off a little bit of late, but they still hold on to one of those playoff spots in a very contested Metro division.
Yeah, you know me, I'm always leaning toward the left coast, but the Metro division has been so hotly contested this year. And John, listen, we just have a few minutes here, so I'll just ask you, even if you were to close your eyes, pretend you don't know what the standings are right now.
Sure.
Who do you think comes out on top in the Metro this year?
I was going to go for my very pick from the beginning of the year and say the Carolina Hurricanes, because I felt like they were a top 5 team to lift the cup.
Yeah, and you know what? Why don't you fill me in? I was not able to catch their game, and I know that was what you covered. Was it, I think, last night?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what you saw from them. We covered them early in the year together, but it's been a while since I've been able to loop back and really give a lot of focus to the Hurricanes. What did you like from their game last night?
So it was a couple back and forth. There was a couple goals there for Carolina. They got out to a 2-0 lead, and then the game just got weird, Cooper. There was a goal within 15 seconds apart for both teams, 30 seconds apart for both teams. And Kochekov, who run Rookie of the Month, Peter Kochekov, he was 7-0-1 in December and had a goals against, I think, of like 120 and 2 shutouts. Kochekov and Shesterkin combined, get ready for this, to give up five whole goals in one game. Five
whole goals between the two. Who gave up 3? Who gave up 2?
Kochekov with 3 and Shesterkin with 2.
Boy, I would be surprised. I'm surprised Shesterkin had any that he gave up, let alone 2. But yeah, then you go with a goalie who's been so hot, and obviously I've heard about his levels of success, certainly recently. And then 3 in one game, you'd think at least get that paddle down. I mean, maybe give one up over the shoulder, over the glove, but no, everyone's just going 5-0. Apparently, that was the recipe for success.
It was a very bizarre 5-3 win for the New York Rangers. Great for them because they get back to 3rd in the Metro. Carolina had won 11 straight. That's now gone. And their 17-game point streak, which is a franchise record, that's now gone too. So big win for the Blue Shirts.
Yeah, the Rangers, man, I still think back, John. I know we've referenced it a few times.
It was incredible.
But I still think back. You know exactly what I'm about to say. That first game they played against Lightning in there, what was for the Rangers their last playoff series of last year. Boy, we saw just how exciting and how high the ceiling could be for New York. I'm wondering if they're going to be able to get back to that point. We talked about their panic index earlier in this year. I think it's a lot lower than it has been recently, and not just because of the victory over Carolina. But I do think that they're moving in a decent direction. But yeah, the Metro is going to be really, really interesting to watch as we get into the spring.
Yeah, I think that they're going to be there, and I'll close off my comment with this because we're going to be getting to the third period. They're going to be there, but the team in the Atlantic that I thought was going to be really good and be there was the Florida Panthers, and they might miss the playoffs, and that's pretty crazy to think.
A stunner, absolutely. But yeah, we're about to hit puck drop here in the third, and the U.S. down 4-2 against Canada. They got 20 minutes to try to get this thing tied up.
So it's going to be a face-off loss there for the United States into the neutral zone. It's going to immediately start puck possession here for Trey Augustine. He's going to have to hold. So it's going to be right to left for the United States in this period. They're in the blue shirts again, and then left to right for Canada, who are in the white shirts and the black pants. It's been 4 unanswered goals for Canada in this third period. Jackson Blake thought he scored, but it was one of those ones that was called for goaltender interference, as they had a camera cut for Logan Cooley and Shane Wright, who just pushed Shane Wright right over and knocked him down. So Arizona might have to like that, as they're playing at Mullet Arena right now at Arizona State University. So this is picked up now by Canada. Into the neutral zone, they'll hold, and we'll see, Cooper, just how patient Canada is going to be. Are they going to keep their foot on the gas, or are they going to hold on to this 2-goal lead as they immediately ice with 19:32 left in the final frame?
Yeah, fair question. And I think that generally what I've noticed is that if you're trying to hang on, bad things can happen. But I think Canada is going to be smart to keep their foot on the gas and try to get at least one more here.
The only reason I throw that out there because we are watching an under-20 tournament. So you wonder how much these kids are going to listen to their coach. And yes, I say kids because they are. How much these guys are going to listen to their coach or whether or not they're going to press and play loose and free. And that's going to be the answer that we'll figure out as the puck gets cleared into the webbing of the netting. And it's now 1928 with another neutral zone face-up upcoming.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes, John, are going to tell me a lot about the mindset of the Americans here. I think we're going to start to see revealed their plan for this third period, kind of what we were talking about during the break. So let's keep our eyes peeled and see just what they have in store for Canada.
Yeah, we'll end up figuring this one out, hopefully, as we go along here. It's a shot in off the end boards, and the United States. I don't know if this one's going to be called back as well. I was just looking down on my phone. It was the worst time to do that. I think a look up and a goal scored by Rutger McGroarty. So my humble apologies. It bounced in off the end boards. Milic couldn't find it. It was a jam in the blue paint. The Canadians are kind of shaking their head no. I think that was in terms of the players to challenge it. It was a shot off the draw. A stick got in the way of Milic. And let me see if that was actually his goal stick. So the shot, okay, so there's a shot that's thrown in the high slot. One of the Canadian players loses their goal stick. It distracts Milic and gets by him for a goal. Very crazy. But now it's a one-goal game. 4-3 as the United States just scored. Rutger McGroarty's going to get it.
John, I'm just now seeing this as well on my side. I apologize.
Crazy.
I'm not able to. Yeah, it's absolutely wild what just happened. And you said it. These guys are kids. Obviously, they're elite players. But so much going on and a goal right when the U.S. needed it. I mean, now they have all this time. One more goal, they tie it.
So we have another challenge. I figured we would. There's all sorts of traffic in front of the paint again. I don't want to say this lightly, but let's just say if this was a U.S. crowd and you had two goals that were called back, how do you think the fans would react? Because that's what I wonder right now.
That question. I just hope that they didn't have batteries in their pockets.
That's what I'm thinking too right now. But again, it's a couple of goals for the United States as Rutger McGroarty pounds us away in the blue paint. I really think the stick from the Canadian player got in the way. I don't blame Milic on that goal at all. But it's one of those situations where you have to attack. The United States have done well. They had one goal that was called back. Maybe they'll get another one called back, maybe not. But again, this is another challenge direct from Coach Dennis Williams here for Canada. So 1922, we'll have to go in this third again. If this challenge is not upheld, it's the United States goal and a power play. This could be full momentum with 1922 in the third.
Yeah, a very similar situation to what we spoke about in the previous period, John, when the goal was called back. The United States now looking to see if this will be called back as well. I mean, I can only imagine how incredibly deflating it would be if they had two goals called back. We'll see here. Let me know you're going to be ahead of it from
No goal! Two called back against the United States, and their hearts are broken, and mine is probably too. 1922 left, no goal for Rutger McGroarty. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm stunned, John. I thought that the first goal that was called back was legitimate. This one I think is even more legitimate. I'm just stunned.
I don't know what else, and I'm not saying this as a U.S. fan. I'm going to get to the play-by-play in a moment, I promise. I don't know what else the United States can do. It was a Canadian stick that got up in the air, that got knocked into Milic, not a United States stick. All you can do is pound away at the doorstep and try to score. The United States did that twice. One of those goals had to have stood, but both of them don't. So now it's back to a 4-2 scoreline, and we're back into the play-by-play. So now Luke Hughes with the drop pass here for Kenny Connors. Connors trying to just put this around the inboards, but his pass gets canceled off. United States one more time trying to answer as this goes into the webbing of the netting. I'm going to make sure that I keep everything PG and together. But now, after one goal called back, I said, how the United States could respond. After two goals called back and these kids that you have on the ice for both sides, honestly, my thoughts are out the window, and we're just going to have to watch the theater that's left with 1843.
Yeah, I think the U.S. deserved better on at least one of those, if not both. And I'm left without a whole lot of words to share here because I'm surprised that both of those were called back. And you're exactly right, John. That was the stick of a Canadian player that was distracting or impeding Milic, and that should have stood. It should be 4-3 right now.
So Snuggerud gets a shot on there from the help of Cooley. It's brushed aside with the stick of Thomas Milic. And the only thing the United States can do right now is just try to continue to put shots on net and have a better push. They had a poor second period that might end up being their doing. We can say that fairly. They gave up 4 goals, but the United States didn't have any kind of push. And now they got to find something in the third. They had one early, and now the United States wants a call for the puck over the glass against Team Canada. This is the 3rd time the puck has gone over the glass, and now I'm going to have to wait a couple extra beats to see if somebody is going to go to the box. So Ethan Del Mastro, the defenseman, was the one that cleared it. I don't think it touched a United States stick, and I believe Ethan Del Mastro will be going to the box, serving a delay of game penalty. The 3rd one of the game. It'll be the 2nd one officially, but the 3rd time it's gone over the glass. So the United States have a power play. They're 6 for 18 in the tournament. They're 0 for 2 tonight. Cooper and I said it twice, and we're going to say it 3 times now. Got the score on this one. 18:09 left. Face off here for the U.S. Cooley is going to win it cleanly. Leave it here for Hughes. As this goes back to Cooley into the screen. Milic down as the save was made. Snuggerud couldn't get a stick on it. Now Cooley takes this in the high slot. Walks it up the forehand. Leave it for Hughes instead. Hughes, stutter step. Back to Cooley now. And between the circles, fires it wide toward the right side post. Hughes will settle it down. Now it goes back across to Cooley. Thought about the 1T, but couldn't be settled between the skates of the U.S. player. As it goes back to Logan Cooley. One-time bomb off the right side of the post and dumped down the ice. So the United States finally had some sustained puck possession there. But they didn't get anything with it, but at least they finally had something on their power play. Here's Hughes. Maybe wonder if Canada is just trying to play that trap and not give up any breakaways when they get more shots. Rutger McGroarty into the screen as it went off the stick shaft of Milic. Now near the left side dot. Hughes will rock that blue line. Give it back to the forwards as they'll take their time. 3 U.S. players in front of the net right now trying to create traffic. It's just Hughes and Cooley on the other side. Hughes, he wants it. He's on the right side as this goes back for the U.S. They'll backhand this one through, and this shot goes wide and up and out of play. 16:52 left in the third. Good power play for the United States. Got awfully close a couple times.
John, I can only imagine. I caught myself being distracted right there. If this game ends up 4-3 for Canada, and all I'm going to be thinking about is those 2 goals called back. It could have been a tie with overtime, or it could have been a 5-4 win for the U.S.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we'll be talking about for a long time. Thankfully for the United States, though, they got tons of time to work with, and they need to get something on this power play. Cross pass set up here for Hughes. He's going to hold, gives it to Cooley now. And between the circles, don't know what he was thinking about on that pass, but Hughes able to keep this across the blue line. Cooley's able to walk right in now. What did he loose in the air? And that goes above the left crossbar and gets cleared down the ice. Oh my goodness, how close can the U.S. get? Hughes will settle it down now. Forwards need to take their change. Luke Hughes has been out there for the full 2 minutes. This bounces on Bellinger's backside. Oh, and he comes back to save it. Unbelievable. It's loose underneath the paint. And now there's some pushing and shoving. Oh, man.
John, I have a smile from ear to ear right now. Of course not because of the results on those scoring opportunities for the Americans, but the passion, great calls right there, and Milic just making incredible stops. I'm going to see that momentarily. I'm looking forward to getting that replay, but my gosh, this game definitely is hanging in the balance. United States making a huge push.
It bounced off the skate blades of Milic. He was facing the wrong way at point blank open net to shoot at. And still robbery as he recovers. I cannot believe what's happening in this third period, but at least we can say the United States has found their push. The refs are trying to come together because I believe they're going to send somebody to the box for the pushing and shoving after Milic. Dennis Williams is having his cases being pleaded to the referees, and I do believe we're going to have a couple penalties to be sorted out. So one of the United States players is definitely in the box. One of them is also in the box for Canada. We'll see if these ones are going to be offsetting. And when you do get those replays, Coopers, let me know your thoughts.
Yeah, John, I'm seeing. I haven't seen the most recent. I just got it right there. My goodness, I can't believe the puck stayed out. I cannot. But that's all I can say is I can't believe the puck stayed out. I thought that was going to cross the line, and then robbery. Milic diving in front in the blue paint. Then the puck's under his right pad. Oh wow! And pushing after the play. It's just that was a crazy sequence right there. Can't believe the U.S. didn't score.
So it's offsetting 4-on-4. We got 4-on-4 hockey. It's a race for the puck. And Trey Augustine going to come out of his net to play it. Now he lost his goal stick. This is with Canada. It's 4-on-4. One-timer stopped by Augustine with the right pad. This third period is absolutely bananas right now. And we'll see if Augustine will have enough time. His stick is all the way toward the right side of the red line. The United States will collect in their offensive end, and now Snuggerud have to peel back, blew a tire. Got it across the red line now. Lucius walks in and fires, and Milic will hold on. He wanted to play it, but the ref blew it dead. Still a minute 8 left to go in this 4-on-4. 15-17 left to go in this third period.
John, just can't get it out of my mind right now. The United States made a really good push over the couple minutes there, including the power play where they almost got one. I mean, my goodness, so close to getting what would have been their third. And then I think about the goal that was called back several minutes prior to that. I mean, the U.S. has had a tough game. I mean, this is a game where you just have to, as they say about former Flame Matthew Tkachuk, you got to bite down on the mouth and just find some grit, and not in the necessarily the hockey sense of, you know, being a tougher player and getting more physical, but just finding that extra level of focus, because, man, the United States has been turned away by goals being pulled off the board. They've been turned away by Milic. I mean, they are so close to breaking through here and continue to believe in themselves. It's impressive.
Brindley sets up the 1T. That one stopped by Milic. They've had a better third period, and at least I can tell you this in all honesty. If the United States goes down in this game, at least this third period is one to be proud of, and they did it the right way. They got punched in the mouth in that second period, and they are fighting back in this third. As any U.S. fans that are there in Halifax, I know it's probably players, a lot of these parents of a lot of these players, but there's been a lot to like in this third. They've come close, and we'll see within this next 4 minutes when it gets to the even 10-minute marker if the United States can get to the typical mark of get within one with half a period left to go. They certainly played like they can. 20 seconds left to go in this 4-on-4. It's another offensive zone draw win for the red, white, and blue here. It's dumped down, and it's off the glove hand. It's going to be a race for the puck. This one's going to be won by Ostapchuk. Into the high slot spin move. What a stop by Augustine as he just robbed Olen Zellweger, and that was a pretty silky spin move from a D-man nonetheless.
Yeah, John, Augustine has looked really, really good, and he's needed to be good, especially in this third period. I know Canada's put 4 in, but Augustine is at his best right now. The United States, they are getting a lot from this lineup. Will it translate to goals? That's the only question. Augustine seems dialed in. He's stopping Canada, keeping this lead at just 2 goals, but the U.S. has to find a way to get one into the net behind Milic.
7 seconds left to go in the 4-on-4. It's an offensive zone draw win for Canada. Zellweger in the high slot as this one bounces off the end boards. The 4-on-4 is done. It's a loose puck, and it was across the blue paint, but brushed away at the last second by Jack Pert. United States has it in their own end. Ufko needs some help. They'll get it out now. Boucher has it. Boucher being ridden down. That was very close to a tripping. And now a good theft in behind for Canada off the forecheck, but it's trying to get play with the stick. It's going to stay a neutral zone draw. 13:46 up to go in the third. It's now 41 shots to 30 for Team USA. So for all the window dressing that was in the second period as we go to a commercial break, U.S. has really brought that fight in this third.
Yes, they have, and tons of offense from the very beginning. I mean, their game plan obviously was to get as many pucks on net as possible. You know, Canada has closed the gap a little bit, but they're still 11 down on the shot board. Obviously, that doesn't matter when you're leading 4-2, but the United States, I'm not sure what it's going to take. They've looked solid offensively, getting great goalie play right now. It's just going to come down to maybe getting that lucky bounce that they haven't had. They've been so unfortunate. 2 goals called back. I think they deserved at least one of them, but we can't keep dwelling on that. They just have to get something in order to push Canada a little closer to the wall and get this game at least down to a 1-goal advantage for the Canadians.
Yeah, the only thing you can say at this point is you can wish about as much as you want about the second period. I mean, we know it. We've talked about it during the intermission. Alec knows it. He's been in here listening to us in the sense of that second period is probably going to be enough for the undoing. You let Canada score 4 times. It doesn't matter the kind of push that you make. Yes, it's been nice to see for the United States to offer some pushback, but they've got to just find a way to continue to make sure, as hard as this is to do, they cannot even allow Canada in the offensive zone. If they don't keep this all one-sided, they probably don't have a chance to come back and score 2 more goals because, let's be honest with you, in the sense of Milic has made 40 saves. This has been his best game of the tournament right now. When a big question for Canada has been goaltending, just like it's been for the U.S., he's kind of answered all those questions right now.
Yeah, he has. I mean, both of these goalies have been big difference makers, and they've both come out of their nets. They both looked a little shaky when coming out of their nets, but ultimately, none of those plays resulted in goals. The United States were a little closer, I think, to putting one behind him, Milic, that is. But you know what? The Americans clearly have it. They have what it takes. It's just going to come down to who will put the puck in the net.
So Luke Hughes, as we come back in from the action, he ended up with the puck for about a minute as he was dancing off the forehand. Couple one-timers, and both of them were answered by Milic. So when I said in the opening of the third period, don't allow Luke Hughes to skate, well, how about that? It was about a whole minute of skating display, keeping it alive among the blue line and the office of Milic, off of the forehand in the middle of the slot. He did everything he could to set up his teammates for a couple one-timers and, oh, by the way, get a shot off by himself. That is why he's one of the elite kids as far as offensive defensemen as we go into there and why he was drafted by the New Jersey Devils 4th overall. As this is picked up, Sean Behrens gets a piece of it as now Ufko has to pinch as this goes back to Behrens. Behrens rocking that blue line right now, waiting for an extra pass across. Left side, it's loose up the middle. Picked up here. Behrens going to walk into the left dot and fire it just high, the left side post. Kept in now by Middlestat. United States with all sorts of puck possession, but the shot gets blocked before it hits Milic. 12:20 left to go in this third. Behrens keeps it alive off the backhand. Another shot. And that one goes toward the left side of the boards. Canada finally gets a piece of it right now as Logan Stankoven has it. He's going to get it back off the drop pass. Have to get around a check. His Middlestat tries to find it, as his bounces in between the neutral zone. Middlestat will get this in across the red line now. And Milic will play it. Again, when you talk about this third period, and between some of these other names that we mentioned, Shane Wright, Connor Bedard, and all that stuff's been silent. It's been a third period that's been all United States, but the goal differential might be too much to overcome. Backhand pass gets picked off there by Canada. It's going to be a race for the puck. We'll see who's going to get it as Mastro gets knocked off of it. United States trying to keep this alive off the backhand. And now here they come with Dylan Duke right down the middle of the ice. Now goes toward the left wing side as this one gets dumped in. Mastro will get this one ahead as this goes to Hinds. Breakout pass. But the United States will get there first and try to pick this back up with Jack Pert. He plays it toward the left side of the wall. As this gets dumped in deeper, Red Savage will try to pick this off in behind the cage of Trey Augustine, and they'll have to peel back and waft this one as the United States and Canadian players are going to getting a change. We've hit the 11-minute marker of this third period. Winner is going to play Czechia at 6:30 Eastern tomorrow in the gold medal game. The loser will play Sweden at 2:30 Eastern for bronze. As this goes off the inboards, Sean Behrens can't get to it. Del Mastro has his long pass intercepted, but the United States still in the middle of a change, can't get anything going. Good give and go. Gauthier going to fire one to the right side of the bar. And Milic, all he could do was put his head down. Keeping it in on the blue line side was United States, but ended up blowing a tire. That was about 3 spins in a row as this goes off of the stick of Augustine. We've almost hit the halfway marker of this third. It's gut check time for the United States. Another goal for Canada would be critical, as even though it already is. Fantilli, big save, and I called it into existence. Canada, 5 straight goals, and that's the death blow.
John, it certainly seems like that is going to be it for the United States in terms of pursuits of gold in this World Juniors. And you did. You just moments before the goal, you spoke it into existence, my friend. No blame, certainly no blame. You're just that good. You were right on top of the moment, so much that you were ahead of the moment. And my goodness, Canada, 5 unanswered. What can you say? They are the best of the best of the best, and they've shown it here tonight.
Good pass by Fantilli. It was a bouncing puck in the middle of the slot, and that was a hell of a roof by defenseman Brandt Clarke, who gets the goal. I'm not going to be picking cherries on one side and playing the blame game. I understand about the goals that have been called back. The United States, I would say they certainly deserve better on some of their opportunities, but the opportunities have to reach the back of the net. And for the United States, on some of those, it's been crossbars, it's been unbelievable saves. Milic has done his job, and he's been the better of the 2 netminders. That's all I can say is we keep it fair and even. 10-minute marker now. Canada can taste it. They want to play Czechia tomorrow. I'm going to have that game for you on the Twitter Spaces and the YouTube side nonetheless, as we'll see if Canada can get back-to-back gold medals as they did in August when they took out Finland. But now it'll be Czechia, the team that took them out in the first game of the preliminaries and won the group. So it should be a very interesting game. Still 9:30 left to go, but I'm trying not to say the United States can't win this one, but it just doesn't seem likely at this point. It's 43 shots to 33 as this one gets dumped down the ice. It went off of the glove of Milic and bounced over the net. That was a weird bounce. We've seen a little bit of everything in this game. And now a drive, Del Mastro. He's going to try to fire one short side. Trey Augustine will find it and hold. 9:16 left in the third. We get a stoppage.
Well, John, as we look back at some of my comments from the evening, we can throw my optimism right out the window as Canada has widened their lead. It's 5-2. And the New Jersey Devils have widened their lead as well. 3-0 currently over the Red Wings. So, barring some big changes, John, it looks like things are going to go the right way for the Devils, and it certainly is going all the right way for the Canadians.
That's all right. I can take my gut punch. That's all good. I'm feeling better now from the COVID side, so I don't think anything is going to make me sad anymore.
Yeah, you have a thick skin, my friend. You've been through it. You've battled through some things, and we're battling through it tonight. Listen, I mean, this is kind of a cheesy segue, but the U.S. has really fought hard here. They've had some bad luck, some goals overturned, and they made a great push, but Canada has been the better team tonight. And you're right, Milic has been the better goaltender, and it shows.
Yeah, and it's one of those situations I mentioned in the tournament as far as Milic is concerned. You didn't even know if you were going to start with Gaudreau or Milic. You're only carrying 2 goalies. One of them's got to get the job done in a game that it's really mattered. Canada's really stepped up, and their back-end defense has really stepped up. And that's been a problem throughout the whole tournament, not just the preliminaries in the sense of it. I understand the loss to Czechia in the first game, but Slovakia took them to overtime. If it wasn't for a heroic effort by Connor Bedard, this could be a completely different matchup on the other side. No, by the way, with Connor Bedard's 24 points, it took that many for them just to get to this point. So I think anything less than the gold medal for Canada, it would be, an ill will. They have to have it. But I think it's been a little bit more of a rocky tournament than fans expected.
Oh, I agree. And listen, at this point, while we have a moment, let's speculate because I think the writing's on the wall here for the U.S. This game is going to go to the Canadians, again, barring a really massive shift in events here. So let's take a look at the potential bronze medal matchup between the Americans and the Swedes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think on a back-to-back that the United States are going to have the motivation? They clearly have the talent. It's here. They have the goal-scoring ability. They have the defense. Do you think they're going to have the motivation to want to take home some medal?
See, that's the very curious $1 million question here for me, Cooper Hopkins, is you were going for gold and nothing else. I think you had your two arch enemies right in front of you. Like I said, Czechia knocked you out 6 months ago around the August side of it. And now it's either bronze or nothing. And if I'm the United States, how motivated am I going to get up for a bronze? It'd be a better result than it was during the summertime, but still, I don't know. And Sweden is not one of those teams. They play more of a low-scoring trap style. And Lindblom is an excellent goalie, so that's a tough game, and that'd be a big-time pill for the United States to have to swallow, considering what's happening tonight.
Yeah, you are right, and just an update since we've been following that game in the NHL. Unfortunately, John, I hate to twist the knife here. 4-0 New Jersey over the Wings at the moment.
Yeah, so I can just after this game story is done, I'll just muster everything else that's left and probably go curl into a ball.
Well, listen, my friend. At least we have some time left here between the Canadians and the Americans. Let's see if the U.S. it might be just a moral victory, and sometimes folks say there are no moral victories in sports, but getting one more for the U.S. might build some confidence for that bronze medal match.
And I can leave it to you like this in closing as far as where the United States is going to go. This is a really good effort all the way across the entire tournament. We understand what Canada was going to be. They didn't turn into this until like right now. It took this game to be able to play their best game. They knew what was at stake. I think the United States did too. I just think Canada ended up playing a better game at that point. So Hinds, we'll get it now. We're going to close out this last 7:30 before we get into the game story and the complete wrap-up here, as it looks to be all she wrote. So Czechia, I'm going to have that game here for you tomorrow as far as Czechia and Canada. I am very intrigued on that final as far as where it's going to go because Czechia is a very big and physical team. There's a lot of Davids on that team. There's three of them specifically on defense, David Urich and David Spacek and Stanislav Svozil. Three Columbus Blue Jackets products that are all big, physical, and can shoot and play some excellent defense. Canada is probably expected to be the favorite, considering off of the 5-2 loss of Czechia in the preliminary game. But, again, as I said during the YouTube stream, I think there was a lot of dislikes when I was giving Czechia credit and saying they're the dark horse darling of the tournament. And now they're playing for a gold medal. So don't discredit them in that game. I don't think they want anything more than that gold. And I do think that they can get that. So Canada is going to have to play this same type of game against Czechia tomorrow at 6:30. So we got about 7 minutes left to go right now as Del Mastro will get worked off the puck. United States trying to find it, but this gets cleared across the red line now. Del Mastro will hold as this finally gets chipped in. And Canada needs to just not make a big mistake right now. And if you're the United States, you got to sell out for offense. You don't care about goal differential at this point. Logan Cooley, Gaucher. Cooley going to fire short side, stop by Milic on the left side post off the stick handle. And this gets picked up. It's a race for the puck. It's going to be won by Canada now. It's Joshua Waugh. Took a little bit of a cross check. The fans want a penalty. I don't think they're going to get one right now, considering it's a 5-2 score line. As this is picked up off the forehand, Canada will get this clear. But good work by Middlestat. They will buy some time to get the pass across. Kenny Connors on the fourth line side for Ram Pecknold's squad has it as this goes back D to D and now circled around the kick plate. United States down in their final 6 minutes is Del Mastro trying to get a piece of it now. Joshua Waugh will come back in his own end as he gets swallowed up with a big hit. And now the referees are going to go immediately over, have the hand up in the air, and for everything that's gone against the United States, and I don't want to sound like a broken record here, probably won't be too happy with taking a penalty off the hit as we get a commercial break.
Yeah, John, I mean, this is, now we're just getting into formalities, really, with the amount of time and the score the way that it is. So we'll see what happens as a result of this power play. But to be completely honest, this broadcaster does not expect anything to change necessarily here. I think that the scoreline will remain the same, and we will likely finish this game at 5-2. But you never know. You never know. And again, the United States. I'm speaking broadly here, but the United States did a great job in this third period. A little bit of misfortune, but just not enough. Not enough to answer what Canada brought to the table. And you made it so clear too. Canada had to step up beyond a level that they had really reached in this tournament, and they did it against their toughest opponent, and they deserve a ton of credit.
No, they do. I mean, this is something even for everybody that's watching the game in Halifax. I saw going into the tournament side for one of my former teachers. He was doing a write-up or something like that. Tickets for this game today, Cooper Hopkins, are going for $6,000 to go ahead and sit in the stands right now, and it is packed. So you can't tell me that this doesn't mean a lot for the Canadians.
That number alone tells me we knew how much this means to the Canadians. And I will say this about your comments regarding Czechia. That nation is continuing to turn out, and they've done it for decades, but they are continuing to turn out high level pro hockey talent. And hockey will always be unquestionably Canada's game. And they have the best players in the world then, now, and in the future. But the European countries, including Czechia, are bringing more and more talent to the table, and they are not to be taken lightly tomorrow.
No, I really, really like Czechia, especially on the back end side with all the NHL prospects. I think it's going to be an excellent game, much like it was. 2-on-1, here's a breakaway, flubbed off the outside of the bar. That would have been another one for Canada, as he got saved by the post. As this gets moved around, Del Mastro, as this gets put in deep, Brennan Othmann on the first line now for Coach Dennis Williams. As this goes back to Del Mastro, fake the slapper. As this gets worked around in the high slot. And in the breadbasket of Augustine, they're going to blow the whistle. United States wanted to play it. 4:44, we get a stoppage.
Yep, John, we're cruising here. I mean, obviously Canada could have made it 6-2 right there. I think with the way they've played and the offensive opportunities they've had, this game could be even upwards of 8-2 Canada, or 8-4 if those couple of goals had counted for the United States. But definitely tons of offense in this one, and just Canada having the better day.
And that was Shane Wright, the captain there for Canada, and Seattle Kraken that got denied of the left side bar. He had a breakaway. So Logan Stankoven, the Dallas Stars product, it's going to be against Cooley, and he's going to win this draw. As the United States look like they're going to run out of time here. 4:35 left to go in the third. It's a 45-36 advantage on the shot board for the Stars and Stripes, but the goal, Chiron, is where it matters. 5-2 Canada and a 4-goal run for Canada in that second period. That's what it was, because the United States started with the first 2. Canada scored the next 4. Even though there was a couple goals for the United States that got taken off the board, it would still be 5-4. So 4:10 left to go in the third. Kept alongside D-to-D. As this gets picked up now by Olen Zellweger, but he gets canceled off the puck by Hughes. Now I'm behind the office of Trey Augustine. As the fans are standing and continuing to chant right now, they're going to be playing the Canadian National Anthem in about 3 minutes, 50 seconds, where they hand out those flashy sticks to the best players of the tournament and the best players of the game. So we'll stick around for the National Anthem portion of that as this goes around the inboards and offsides with 3:46 in the third.
So, John, as we continue to look forward at what seems to be the potential matchup here for the United States, and I know we're going to get back into the action, but maybe just think about what you expect between United States and Sweden matchup for that bronze.
So for the United States, I think that there is a definite advantage of their forward side. Sweden has not shown the ability throughout the tournament to be able to outscore other teams. They like to win 2-1, 3-2, 1-0 type of games. Carl Lindbaum is the goalie that can do that, but Sweden is not going to beat you offensively. So if the United States certainly get up for it, I think that they're more than capable of getting a bronze. If they fall into the Swedish defensive trap, they might have to win a 1-0 game on either side. That's the way I see it.
Love that. That's a classic John Knott moment right there. Just a nice, concise breakdown right there. Gives us all something to expect when the United States, seems inevitable at this point, takes on Sweden for that bronze. And, we can say it, John. We're fans of the Stars and Stripes, and I'm hoping that the Americans come away with a medal in this tournament.
I want to see them get something. Again, they didn't get anything in August. There's a net pull. Zach Dean was called for a penalty, so it's a 6-on-4 for the United States for about 3:20, as Canada will clear this one down the ice. So it looks all but over at this point, but we're going to be troopers here and finish off at 3:15. A steal! Open net for Canada! And salt in the wound! 6 straight goals off the empty netter.
Well, there it is, John. I mean, they were around it. Shane Wright had an opportunity. He hits the outside of the post. And Canada, they've made the United States, unfortunately, look pretty bad on several of their power plays tonight. And that is most certainly the case in this one. They get a shorthanded goal right there and make this thing 6-2.
A shorthanded on a 6-on-4. A turnover right in the middle of the red line, and Joshua Waugh again, who's got his second of the game. That is just ugly. That is nothing that I can defend at this point, Cooper.
No, and you know what? I think that might just be a team in the United States that's distracted here. Obviously, they would have liked to get one back. I think that they may have lost a bit of their edge here, knowing that the loss is coming. And now that goal differential even wider, a 4-goal lead now for the Canadians.
Yeah, and we can say this fairly here, too, for regardless, and you and I didn't harp on the goals that were called back too many times. We said it plain as day. Canada's been the better team. But now any argument that you want to make, Canada's punched you right in the mouth here, and this was the exact game that they had to have. And they played an excellent one. Jam in front of the net. Milic makes the save. The United States still got 59 seconds to work with in that power play, but they're down by 4 with 2:45 left.
Yep, so all that's left now is just for the time to run off the clock. It's going to be Czechia taking on these Canadians for the gold, and it will be the United States fighting for bronze against Sweden. It's probably what we expected, if we're being honest,
yes.
Even when we were prior to puck drop. But that shorty right there, that is salt in the wound. You said it well, John. A little unfortunate development there for the U.S. Hopefully that doesn't shake their confidence as they still are in the running to take home some hardware.
So Caedan Bankier is going to get some time in net here for Rand Pecknold. I think that's a good gesture. Get some other goaltenders some work. Maybe they're going to use Trey Augustine tomorrow. Who knows? Again, I understand it's an under-20 tournament. You kind of wonder how Augustine feels giving up 5 of these here today. I don't think he played all that poorly. I just think Canada really worked on their offensive chances. They took advantage of it. Cross pass, this one goes just wide. But Canada, make no mistake about it, was the much better team throughout. That 2-0 that United States started with in that first period, Cooper, that was a mirage of what was left to come.
Yeah, John, I think you make a good point there. And the United States came out and gave it all they had. But the Canadians just blew right by them. It took them about half a period. But then, in a 60-minute hockey game, 50 of the minutes have been dominated by the team in red and white.
Yes, it has. And now everybody's standing and cheering right now with 1:30 left to go. Again, you pay $6,000 for a ticket. You should be standing and cheering, and you want to expect to win. And that's what they're going to have right now. So again, to reiterate, tomorrow I'm going to have the gold medal game. So it'll be the bronze medal game to start because the relegation round is done. So it's going to be no more for Austria. They're done. They will not be at the next WJCs because of relegation during this year's time. It's going to be 2:30 for the USA and Sweden, 2:30 Eastern. I will have the gold medal game between Canada and Czechia, 6:30 Eastern on Twitter Spaces and on the YouTube side. Surprisingly, I did not get as much foot traffic as I expected on the YouTube side. I guess everybody on the Canadian side just expected to steamroll over the United States. So, boy, that makes me feel like a fool. I thought that was going to be a bigger one, but maybe everybody's waiting for the gold medal game. I think that any fan that just I will say this openly in our broadcast. Any fan that just assumes that Canada was going to go right through and steamroll across this whole tournament, I would definitely bat an eyebrow, because everybody in this tournament has shown well, with the exception of probably Austria and Germany. So it's been a good WJCs across the board, no matter who you're rooting for, or whether if you just love hockey, it's been a good display in this under 20 tournament. So 45 seconds left to go in this third, as it's going to be nothing more than a puck battle right now, and everybody's still continuing to stand, jump around, clap their hands, wave the Canadian flag. They're happy as they should be right now. 30 seconds left to go. 45 shots on the shot board for the United States, 37 for Canada. They took this one 6-2. They played by far their best game of the tournament, and they're looking for the gold right now, as they got one more win to get tomorrow. Picked up by the United States across the red line as you hit the 10-second marker. And this one's dumped down. Off of the United States player as this hits middle stack. He's going to take his timeout in behind the net of Caedan Bankier. And that's it. Canada is going for the gold medal game tomorrow. They play Czechia at 6:30 Eastern as everybody mobs Thomas Milic, and for good reason, Cooper Hopkins.
Yes, sir, John. A great call by you, my friend. Was really happy to be on the commentary side with you for this one. 6-2 is your final. Really, you know what? I was about to say never in doubt, but I want to give the U.S. the credit that they are too. Listen, they were not the best team tonight on the ice. They, of course, lose by a significant margin, but that first portion, especially of the first period, which we just talked about a few minutes ago, we saw what they can bring to the table, and they brought it. They brought it to the Canadians. They took a 2-goal lead, and then, unfortunately, if you're a fan of the Stars and Stripes, the Americans let 6 go unanswered. That is your final once again, 6-2. Canada, absolutely deserving. They will play Czechia for the gold tomorrow. I'm excited, John. I think I might just listen in as a fan on that one, my friend, because that's going to be a good matchup. And let's not forget, the United States has had a great tournament. They will be fighting for some hardware against the Swedes tomorrow prior to the gold medal match. So, John, little salt in the wound for you, my friend. I'm sorry to have to be the bearer of bad news. That score line between the Devils and the Wings, it's now 5-zip. So, not a gold medal night for John Ott, but you know what, my friend? You are a true pro. You battled through this thing, and you know what? It's impressive to watch these young Canadians. And you're right; these are kids who have demanded. They are not demanding, but their contests demand upwards of $6,000 for a ticket to watch them play their rivals. That's big credit to Canada and their fandom. The Canadian fans out in force tonight. John, what a contest. What are your thoughts, my friend? I mean, we covered this whole thing, and it was pretty much the Canadians the whole way.
This whole thing was a lot of fun to cover with you. I really appreciate you hopping on stream issues and half the screen aside. I really appreciate you bouncing in with me and able to cover this game. It made it a whole hell of a lot more fun. I want to say this as a tournament, as a close. I know we still got one more game tomorrow. For anyone that thinks of the U20 tournament right now as nothing more than an offensive showcase and just something for these kids to be able to have fun in, I think this means a lot on both sides. And I really have to always remember that the amount of pride in your nation and everything else is on the line, as Kenny Connors is going to get player of the game here for the United States on this side. But this means a lot on both sides. And boy, I mean, when you really think about it, Cooper, and the sense of what we might see in the draft upcoming here in the NHL, there is so much good young talent in the league. It's kind of scary right now. It just continues to get better and better.
Yeah, and to what we were just saying a few minutes ago as well, I mean, listen, Canada and the United States deservedly get most of the attention, and that's where most of the talent comes from. But my goodness, so many skilled hockey players coming from Scandinavia, from different parts of Europe,
Yes.
Eastern Europe. I mean, and even though Germany and Austria did not have solid tournaments, more players coming from those nations as well, making contributions. But yeah, tonight's game, these are the elite of the truly great young players. And despite the fact that it ended up 6-2, both of these squads are going to be sending players to the pros, and those players will be making major differences for teams around the league in a matter of months. It's going to be really exciting.
So Thomas Milic gets player of the game, and that's unquestioned for Canada there, even though it was a 6-2 scoreline. He was excellent. I see some Calgary Flames jerseys in the crowd as well, and some beautiful Tissot watches that's going to be handed out as well for top tournament stars before we get into the Canadian national anthem on that side. So very cool. You get a stick, you get some watches, you get some plenty of display to be able to watch this stuff on TSN and NHL Network. And oh, by the way, I know it wasn't the result that they wanted, as Luke Hughes is the first one to go get his watch on that side of it. It's still a better tournament result than it was during the summertime for the Americans when they were able to go medal-less. Now they have a chance to be able to get a bronze. I think at some point, Cooper, even though that's not what you want, to be able to have something to go around your neck, I think is a moment that you'll treasure forever.
No question about it. No question about it. This is an exciting moment, certainly for Canada, but the United States should not hang their heads. They ran into a buzzsaw, as the saying goes in the sports world. Canada's buzzsaw was spinning, but it was never spinning as fast as it was until tonight. They turned it up. They turned it up when they had to, and I think that they answered the challenge that they faced in the first period with complete success. And the score sheet shows it. But John, almost on cue. I mean, before we wrap this thing up, we need to talk about the fact that you and I, moments before they got themselves on the board, we said, hey, you know what? Where are the big names for Canada tonight?
Right.
Where are the Connor Bedards? They seem to be off in the margins somewhere. And what happens? Connor Bedard puts the game on his own shoulders, cuts that lead in half, and that was it. Canada off to the races, and the big Canadian names made a major difference tonight and ultimately got them the win.
Yes, they did, and that was right on call, right when Canada needed. They responded it, and hey, look, no guess of who's the top player for Team Canada so far in this tournament. Connor Bedard is the last one that they mentioned. Is he able to get another watch across, and they'll get the Canadian national anthem upcoming. So I'm going to have the complete game story and everything else to follow. I appreciate Cooper Hopkins sticking around with me on this side as I had to plug in my phone because it almost died. But we'll have the complete game coverage, and I'll have the gold medal game here for you tomorrow before we go back into probably a Saturday assignment where I might have to take another punch because I think I might do the Red Wings in the Maple Leafs game. So I guess this week I just love punishment before Cooper Hopkins and I will go back into our standard NHL assignments. Or maybe we'll find something during the week, who knows. But I just saw a 5-0 scoreline with 2 minutes left to go, and Jack Hughes just got the latest goal there for New Jersey. So he's going to join his brother Luke on that side. So New Jersey is in a really good spot.
Yeah, they are. And John, you and I, we're maybe not the best spots with the teams that we're fans of, but we're nothing if not, like you said, we're gluttons for punishment. But it's pretty fun along the way, even when the score lines don't end up the way we're hoping. We still get to see some really exciting things. And great call tonight. You made it so exciting for me on that tape delay. Basically, I got to hear you make the call first, and then I got to replay on my side. I know as we cover things in the future, we'll be much closer to the timing with the video feeds. But tonight was a great one. Canada 6-2 over the U.S. Looking forward to your coverage tomorrow. I'm certainly hoping to tune in and get more of this because the tournament's finishing on a really high note. And great job as always, my friend. I can't wait to do it again.
All right, sounds good, man. We'll keep in touch. Like I said, everything is in the mail, so you're getting a check. I'm getting a jersey, and then as soon as I get a picture of that, I'm going to send it to you with a huge grin on my face.
Good deal. No, that's what I was hoping for. And I tracked, did the UPS tracking the other way the other day. It should be there as scheduled. It should be there on the 9th. So just a little more patience from you, and then I'll be looking forward to that photo of your brand new jersey. You know what? You should put it right next to the Stevie Y. Let me see that jersey collection. You're doubling the size of your jersey collection, so maybe think about that one.
I'll definitely do that. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll talk soon, man. I really appreciate you hanging out with me on a little bit of a tape delay today.
Likewise. It was really fun, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. See you.
Okay. Bye.